Hey, let's start the show.
It's April 9th, 2015. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today, Norman Chan.
Hello.
That is a big giant laptop you have in front of you.
Well, I guess if you're comparing it to something like the Lenovo Yoga Pro 3, the thinnest laptop, Ultrabook so far.
It is a huge laptop.
This is a huge laptop, yes. No MacBook out yet.
Seated directly to your left, Jeremy Williams.
Hello.
Looking at the, maybe it's just the angle. It looks kind of like Darth Vader's laptop.
It's a normal laptop.
I guess it is a normal laptop. It's the X1. It's the new X1,
Oh,
right?
look at that. Eye is lit up on the back of it. That's clever. It's like not Apple, but Apple.
You know, if you cut a hole in the metal on the back.
That's red, though.
Yes.
Oh,
And
really?
also the Apple, the new Apple one will not light up in the back.
I know.
So the MacBook comes out on Friday?
Comes out on Friday. Cannot pre-order it.
Oh, really? You got to go to the store? Wait in
Well,
line
there's
like a
no
chud?
pre-order. It still says coming soon on the website.
Oh, so you just have to order it.
Why did they? I feel like that they are that they either
You think it's a
production problems, which is pure speculation, or that it is a very planned move that they decided not to do pre-orders for the new MacBook.
It's also the Apple Watch pre-order /
Which-
try-on day.
Is real confusing because if they want people, presumably they want people. I'm sorry, we're jumping right into Apple stuff. They want people on this Friday, April 10th, to buy two things or be in the market for one of these two things: a watch or the new MacBook, which is a big deal for Apple.
Yeah, it's a new body.
But they also seem to be moving people away from buying stuff at the Apple Store.
Thank goodness.
So why not do pre-orders for this MacBook? What's wrong? What was wrong with making an announcement, getting people pumped up, presumably, a month ago, and then not having any availability?
You never can tell with Apple, especially with iPhone releases. It's like every other year, it's something different.
Well,
one year it's easy, one year it's a holy living nightmare, the
Yeah.
next year it's easy again.
conspiracy theorists will say it's for scarcity or to get, to hype up the availability with news reports, because people are, the news stations are going to be out in front of every big Apple store that morning, talking to people online and the high fives and all that bullshit. And all the emphasis is going to be on the watch, and I know that they want some attention on these Macs.
So I think in the Tim Cook era, and I think I've said this before in the podcast, so apologies, but I feel like in the Steve Jobs era, the idea of for scarcity creating buzz because there's a big line, kind of like that actually seems like something that Steve would have done and been into. But since Tim Cook came up as the logistics guy, I have to imagine that like the idea that they couldn't meet demand on a product that people wanted would seem like a personal failure to him.
Yeah, it's egg in his face.
Yeah.
This guarantees people in the Apple Store on Friday, right? Like if the phone reviews came out and were overwhelmingly negative and no one showed up on Friday, that would be embarrassing. But at least now the stores will be filled with people who want to buy the Mac.
So I was in...
Okay, and that's a good point about the reviews. I'm sure, and we're not privy to this, but I bet people have these MacBooks, reviewers, and have been testing them for reviews. It's Wednesday now. It's going to be either late tonight or sometime tomorrow when the reviews come out.
It'll be Thursday evening when the reviews come out, I bet.
Usually it's in the evening, and it's weird.
I think here's the thing. I was at the Apple Store yesterday to get a replacement for the Duke. RIP, the Duke one.
The iPhone 6 Plus.
My iPhone 6 Plus, which I dropped previously, had a little tiny crack, and I was like, this is bad. There's a hard rain going to fall on this one at some point in the future. And it did this weekend when I was busy making an appointment to go to the Apple Store because it was crashing a lot. I was getting like some weird behaviors with crashing. As I stood up from that, I dropped it about 18 inches onto the hardwood, and it exploded spectacularly. Like, it was a really good... Norm, I don't know if you have the picture. but it was an outstanding break.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yes.
Norm took a lot of pictures of my busted iPhone.
I noticed it's still not in a case. Like, you won't admit that this is a thing that
You
happens.
can't cage the Duke.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
It lasted for 6 months. All I got to do is make it another 6 months, and I'm good.
Tempting fate.
Yeah. So I tried to, squeeze as much information from the folks on the ground as I could about what their preparations for the watch were. And they basically said, look, we're doing appointments. There will be walk-ins that will be available to try. You get a 15-minute appointment to try on different watch bands and see which one you want, and you can pre-order. If you know which one you're going to want to pre-order, you can just go straight to the line, and there'll be a pre-order line. Or you can do that online. And there'll be some walk-ins as well. But they're like, they said they've had a lot of training to learn how to help guide people into making fashion choices rather than.
Oh.
But
that's it's admirable.
But here's the question that they answered that I was surprised they answered was that they weren't planning to do a full store takeover like they do on iPhone launch days. Which now that I know that they didn't let pre-orders happen on the MacBook,
Meaning you can't. That the only thing you can do in the store that day is get a phone.
like on iPhone launch days, and sometimes even the day after, I feel like it goes on for longer than you would expect. You can come in to buy iPhone accessories if you have a new phone, but if you don't have if you didn't wait in line to pre-order on iPhone launch day,
Yeah.
basically the only reason they'll let you into the store is if you're buying a phone.
Really?
Or if you have an appointment
Yeah.
for like business repairs and
So
stuff like that.
you can't buy any other product.
you
No,
couldn't go in and buy a pair of headphones.
I've seen
That's
it happen.
weird.
I've seen
Yeah.
the disappointment on people's faces.
Like, I didn't want a new phone. I just needed to buy a Mac for school or
Yeah.
something.
I just wanted to go see the new phones and the thing.
No. If you want to see, if you want to be a gawker,
They don't let
or
you
a
in.
freebie internet
today.
user, if you're going there to write your great American novel at the Apple Store or do your Skype overseas phone call,
So
that's not
does
gonna
that
happen.
mean they don't expect the traffic?
What that told me, and this is my interpretation, is that they're expecting like an iPad 1 or 3 level of traffic, not a iPhone 6
So
or
lots of
5S
curiosity.
even.
but not, and lots of people who, if they're set on buying it, they're going to buy it. I think you'll have a significant percent of those people being the sell overseas,
You think so?
cash in hand.
Is it an international sale? Well, but I mean, will it work overseas? They have the ability to lock it to regions. So if they're not selling it in China and you have a China iPhone, it's entirely possible it just won't work for you.
I think the gray market entrepreneurs are going to bet on it regardless. Are going to want to get product in their hands because even if they can't sell overseas, they'll just resell it here because it's going to be hard
Presumably
to
in demand.
find. Yes.
I don't know. All I remember is that on iPad launch day, you could walk in at the end of the day. You could walk in and buy an iPad if you wanted, especially if you wanted an unpopular SKU. If you wanted like Sprint internet and a 64 gig model,
Yeah.
you could go in at 5 o'clock that day and it was no problem.
That was true of the iPhone 1 launch too.
Right. So I mean, we'll see. I think this is going to be an interesting Friday. We'll talk about the Apple Watch reviews in a little bit.
Are there Apple Watch reviews already?
Oh yeah, they're all out.
Oh.
Like the embargo was this morning.
I did not get the chance to read any of them.
So Gruber, The Verge, Topolsky at Business Week,
Neeley.
Did
you say that?
Yeah, The Verge.
The definitive review.
That's why I watched it.
Okay.
I have to say, like
oh
that,
my goodness. Okay, this photo is amazing.
It's a 10-minute video review.
it's a pretty good video. Like that video gave me a pretty good idea of what it's like to use the watch, which should be the goal with a 10-minute video review
No,
of something
I was looking
that's
at the
anticipated.
beautiful their big spread.
Oh, it's
layout
gorgeous.
And this typography they chose. It's a very Ron Burgundy
There's
esque. Okay,
it's
anyway,
a cohesive piece with the video.
All right,
I
okay.
was impressed with it. I thought it was pretty good.
I haven't read it, so I'm gonna enjoy reading that tonight.
Few small. If you're going to read two of the ones that I've read so far, The Verge and Gruber are the two to read. And Gruber spent probably 2,000, 3,000 words on it. Didn't even get to how the UI works. He was just talking about the physical device.
I have both those tabs open right now. See you guys in 2 hours.
So yeah, it's very interesting. Made me super curious about getting hands on with
Yeah.
the product because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it in the real world yet.
Would you call them glowing? I guess we'll talk about it in a little bit.
We will talk about it in a little bit. There's a couple small hits. The Age of Ultron. There's a new Age of Ultron trailer. I'm dark on that movie now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
I bought my tickets already.
Really? What, you going to open Thursday night?
Friday.
Have you watched the
Friday.
new trailer?
I don't know which one's the new trailer, so I'm gonna
Oh.
presume no.
Okay.
There's a brand new trailer as up. What happens? Anything big?
Final one. I don't know enough about the backstory, but no, it's just a lot more action. They all, fight the bad guy.
I feel like there's less enthusiasm for this movie being a huge, quote unquote, big thing than
The last one?
the last one.
You think so?
Well, the last one was unknown, right? You didn't know if there was a real possibility it could come out and just suck ass.
Well, I think the anticipation for the last one was because it was the first time in mainstream pop culture movies that this type of crossover event happened, and there was a real feeling of culmination.
Right.
And this one does not have that same feeling of culmination. It's like a revisit to a world you want to be in, but
This one feels inevitable in the way that Star Wars Episode 9 feels inevitable, right? Like, I know at this point there will be at least 4 new Star Wars movies.
Disney is not calling them that anymore.
Really?
They are moving the brand away from Episode 7, 8, 9. And
what?
if you look at how Star Wars is billed, this upcoming Star Wars, in official Disney language, it is Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
It is
But
not.
it's still going to
Star
say
Wars
Episode 7 above
Episode
the
7.
crawl.
Yeah. Yes. True.
It has
but
to.
I'm saying in the official title of the movie.
Well, they don't want people to think that there's the good ones and then there's the off-year crap ones.
Well, they really want to. I think
More
also,
Captain America, fewer Thors.
They also want to. They don't want to hurt the chances of next year's movie, the in between movies.
Right.
So it's just going
Oh,
to
I
be
see.
Star Wars
Right.
blank. Star Wars Rogue One.
And it'll
Star
just be up to
Wars-
you to know.
Exactly.
Right.
We'll
know.
We'll know.
We'll know.
We'll know.
This is Episode 7.
Star Wars, an interlude, Rogue One.
We're all talking about Disney movies too, whether it's Avengers.
That's
Yeah.
all we. In 5 more years, it's gonna be like Demolition Man. Disney movies is gonna be all we have left.
They'll have all the money.
Right. It'll be like Jurassic Park. Disney presents Jurassic Park.
Well, Netflix's Daredevil series comes out.
Here's
this
Frozen
week.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Netflix Daredevil series is getting really shockingly positive and really gory, like violent reviews.
I don't. Well,
Peop-
reviews of it being gory.
Yes, people are saying it is very graphic.
I don't think it's shocking. I think it's a really good thing that they produced that just for Netflix.
And the original goal was, hey, this is going to go on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
The
good.
Marvel made a deal with Netflix to produce series based on their Marvel Knights book lines: Daredevil, Luke Cage, Heroes for Hire, not Doctor Strange, but all this stuff will eventually tie into their
How
movie
are
stuff.
the special effects?
I don't know what the budget is, and I haven't seen the series yet.
Okay.
I think it comes out tomorrow.
Like, worst case is Walking Dead, right?
I think it's gonna. I don't think it's. Walking Dead is a different type of budget, but yeah, worst case, I guess.
I mean, season 1 of Walking Dead is what. Like when I talk about season 1 of Walking Dead, I'm talking about some pretty good practical stuff, a lot of like blood squibs and stuff like that. But most of the gore and blood were CG in that first season, for
still
budget
is.
and so that they could edit it out if it didn't pass, the network standards.
By the way, I finished House of Cards this week. Between the last
Fantastic.
podcast and this one, I actually started and finished it.
Wow.
And I was waiting for something to happen because the reason I wanted to watch it is because Norm said, I don't think there's going to be another season of this.
Well, I didn't know,
And then
but
I thought it's because you watched it and something happens at the end to lead you to believe that.
well,
But I'm not left
no,
to
no.
believe that.
No, well, we don't. Let's not
No
spoil.
spoilers, yeah.
But let's just say that at the end of the season, you know whether or not there's going to be a next season. But at that point, when we're having that conversation, I
Yeah.
didn't know because I had heard that
see.
it was only that they originally did a 2-season commitment and then they added a 3rd season because it was so popular.
All right. I didn't.
That's all I will say.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
Nope.
I would rate it. I don't know if Joey and I were talking about this. Joey's finished it. In terms of ratings, I would rate the seasons
Best to worst?
A minus, B minus.
Yeah, fine. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not up to the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Is Daredevil going to be all at once, binge
All at
watching?
once. All Netflix.
That's all
at
Netflix
once.
does, right?
That's all they do, and it's worked.
So Star Wars, they released digital versions of the crappy special editions.
They
from
will.
Blu-ray.
Friday.
Oh, that's Friday.
Tomorrow, as of this release of this podcast.
It's like $90 if you want 3 terrible movies and 2 really good movies,
It's
and then
more
1
than
okay
that.
movie.
With a bunch of
It's a hun-
unreleased special features.
It's
good.
$120 because it's $20 each.
Amazon was selling them for $89 for the whole thing.
Oh, really? 'Cause
Yeah, I think if you buy them all together, then you get $90. If you buy them one for
that's cool because I didn't see that package on iTunes.
Does that matter, or is that
What?
are you gonna buy it?
I might. Yeah, I mean, I got kids, dude. They watch Star Wars.
I can
don't have
help
the
you with
Blu-rays?
Blu-rays.
No, we don't do Blu-rays anymore. It's you gotta be able
swapping?
to, you got to be able to click it or tap it.
Well, I mean,
or voice it.
Well, you have
Xbox,
figured a way
play
to
Star
do
Wars.
that.
Give me
It's
my
amazing.
Vaders.
I have my own Netflix. Every time people come to the house, I'm like, hey, have you seen Plex? Do you know how this works? And people are kind of like, how did you do this? And then I start telling them, their eyes glaze over, and they're like, no, I'm good. I'll just keep buying discs or iTunes or whatever.
Can you download locally to an iPad
Oh, yeah.
for airplane flights?
Oh, yeah.
All right, maybe I should look into this.
I can do everything you want and more.
And
I got what you need.
I know people listening are thinking Will's a mad pirate, but you're not.
No, I'm ripping discs.
You're actually very good about that.
You could sample Will.
I don't even
Will
re-
can give you a login, and you could sample the service to see how it feels.
that would probably be a
Wolflix.
violation of some piracy
Wolflix.
stuff.
See?
But I can, if
Gi-
you would like
give
to,
you a
if you'd like a
taste.
demo, I can give you a taste.
All right.
Just get that, get that arm ready.
Smithflix.
Yeah, Smithflix is much better.
Smithflix. You get subscribe that only $14 a month as opposed to HBO Now is $15.
So these digital versions are presumably off of the special edition masters that came out as part of that Panasonic promotion in like 2012 or 2011, maybe even 2013. I can't remember. I think it must have been 2012 because I remember hearing about this at CES. And
Oh,
I think
really?
it was the last one that Gary was at because we got really excited about it. And
You
then
knew
it was
this
just
was
the
coming?
specials. No. The Blu-ray releases
Oh, yeah.
were 3-4 years ago.
Yes.
Here's the thing. When Disney bought Lucas, all bets, like previously the official party line on real versions of the first 3 movies, not the prequels, the 4, 5, and 6,
Ain't going to happen.
wasn't going to happen
Yeah.
because it was going to be too expensive and the prints were fucked up.
They were destroyed in making the special editions.
Which is really a metaphor for a lot of people's childhoods in
Yeah.
the making of the special editions.
There are a
true.
few, very, very few high quality prints out there.
Yes.
That still go do a private screening circuit.
Illegally, though, because they were supposed to be destroyed.
Yes.
So, when Disney bought them, just like the extended universe got wiped clean, all of that not canon, all that canon stuff now became not canon. I think the same thing happened to we're not going to ever release the original movies on Blu-ray. So I think that sometime between now and maybe even December, we'll see a re-release of the real original trilogy with no tentacles on the no gaping bird mouth on the Sarlacc, no Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars, no Boba Fett being the guy from fucking Attack of the Clones, none of that stuff. And Yub Yub reinstated,
Oh,
Max
yeah.
Rebo and Snice Noodles back in Jabba's palace.
Oh, yeah.
All the stuff that we missed and loved, I think that'll be out by the end of this year. So don't spend $90 now.
What?
Why would you not release what could be better to promote
It-
goodwill among the nostalgic old grumpy bastards like us than to release
I don't think they need to. I hope they will, and eventually I believe they will.
Yeah.
To say that they will do that twice in 1 year is a big FU to people.
when has
who bought
Disney
them.
not gone back to the well?
No, but
Well-
he's saying that everyone who buys it this Friday will be pissed off this December.
I
if
don't
they
think
do that.
anybody's going to buy it this Friday.
Oh, yeah, they will, man.
I think
Yeah, they
Jeremy's
will.
gonna buy this Friday.
don't buy it, Jeremy.
Listen, can I talk about despecialized?
We've talked about despecialized before.
All right. So this past weekend, my family, finally my daughter's 5. I said, honey, you're ready. You're ready to watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so we sat down. Pete, my son, my 8-year-old son, had seen it already. Everyone's excited. Even get my wife
It's
involved.
a family event, like you make popcorn and have some get Cokes, the whole thing.
So sit down. It's not on iTunes.
No.
I didn't even realize that. So that was a damper.
It's on
and so
Spike.
I said, well, hold on now. I've got this thing called the despecialized edition. We can watch that.
So the despecialized edition is a thing made by a person who basically took all of the high def sources, including like a New Zealand TV airing of the unaltered original trilogy, and cut the bits out and then spliced them back into the Blu-ray cuts.
Yeah.
Army is the guy's
Army
name.
is the guy's name.
He had
Yes.
access to these prints Norm mentioned earlier. They actually scanned some things in, and I'd forgotten because it has been forever since I've seen the original versions.
Yeah.
And it was such a relief not to cringe while you watch this movie.
Yeah, when Han Solo steps on Jabba and
Oh my god!
he makes a farting noise.
I don't even know what you're talking about because that didn't happen.
Right.
And it's not just that like he shoots first. Like he just shoots. There's no time for Greedo to pull the trigger. It's just like
He's a fucking
it's-
stone cold killer.
Yeah,
Han Solo.
exactly. It's done.
Yeah.
Sorry for the mess.
Yeah.
Walks out. And I loved it. I think you're right. It will happen. People will buy it. But people are going to buy this one, too, because I tried to. I know people will try to, and they will buy it.
So here's the thing. My feeling about the Harmy stuff is you shouldn't distribute it. If you bought the Blu-ray version of Star Wars, which I did because I'm a schmuck, I feel like you have a moral obligation to download Harmy, especially if you're doing something as important as showing it to your children.
For the first time.
Yeah, introducing someone new to something that is as dear. And even after all the abuse that we've taken over the last 15, 20 years with Star Wars, I still hold Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. Like they're. I was making a list of my favorite movies of all time this weekend just because I thought it would be fun. All three of those are up there. Right?
Yeah.
They're amazing films. Anyway, so don't buy the digital versions. That's my advice to you.
Force Awakens comes out. A trailer is going to come out with, I believe,
With Ultron.
With Avengers,
that's right.
Age of Ultron. Celebration is next weekend.
Are you going dark on Star Wars?
Fuck yeah, I've been dark on Star Wars since that first teaser. I watched that because I had no choice.
Okay.
But I'm dark the rest of the way.
Wow.
Unless like, I reserve the right to change my opinion. Like I'm not gonna. Here's the thing: I'm not gonna close my eyes at the Age of Ultron when I go see Ultron.
You're not.
No, that
All
would
right.
be dumb.
Then you better go watch it in a reserved seat and just show up right
Right at exactly the time.
Yeah, after the first row of trailers and scooch in.
Is Ultron IMAX 3D all that
It is
stuff?
IMAX 3D.
Oh boy.
That's the way you want to watch it to get the reserved seats in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Celebration is next weekend.
You'll be there?
I'll be there. So will Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams on Thursday.
Wow.
To make some announcements. I think they were revealing the Star Wars Force Awakens Episode 7, I should say, teaser poster, of which, when you think of Star Wars, there are some fantastic teaser posters that have come out.
Jake Lloyd Shadow is an all-time greatest.
That's one of the great ones. With Jedi Revenge of the Jedi, that teaser poster.
What was it? Was it Empire Strikes Back, or it must have been Empire Strikes Back, where it's just a shell outline of Vader's helmet on a starfield, and it's all black. That was
I think so.
It might have been Jedi.
Coming back.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Galaxy Far, Far Away or something.
Where is Celebration? L.A.?
L.A., Anaheim. And then I think, we know that Battlefront's going to be there. Star Wars Battlefront.
The game?
The game.
I don't have
EA's
a lot of
making it.
fondness for the original Battlefronts.
Well, DICE is making it this time.
I don't have a lot of fondness for the games that DICE has made recently either.
Really?
Well,
You got high standards,
Battlefield
man.
3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3 was good.
3 and 4 are like the same game.
Well, I know, 4 just didn't work.
I'm very excited.
Which one was Battlefront?
Battlefront was the one.
Was that the RTS?
No. It was the first-person shooter. A lot of AI, and it was developed by the studio that then Pandemic do
Pandemic,
it.
yeah.
And then they did 2 of them, and you got to fight in the Ewok village. You actually got to do Hoth from first person. It was like Battlefield. It was multiplayer with a lot of AI characters running around. It was a lot of fun.
It was basically Star Wars Battlefield.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but like Norm said, tons of AI. You couldn't tell when you were shooting an actual human. Was my knock against it.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah. So anything, and you're gonna see some costume stuff at Battlefront at Celebration.
There's
I assume.
a lot of cool projects there.
Did you see the girl? You were at WonderCon last weekend. Mm-hmm. Did you see the woman who made the knitted Captain America costume?
No.
She had a full body knitted
Crochet.
Captain America costume.
I did not see her.
Outstanding. Really, really amazing.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it looked like it was probably pretty warm. DJI announced the Phantom 3 this morning. Yesterday
deal.
morning for you guys.
Yeah, what do you know about that? I don't
Yeah.
know anything about that, Norm.
What's changed?
Oh, so I know, Jeremy, we were talking about you coveting the Inspire 1.
Still to this day.
To this day, and we're talking about the Inspire 1, which launched last December, expensive, $2,800 if you want to get batteries, like $3,500 all in for a reasonable kit.
About twice as the Phantom 2.
And you got your Phantom last year after we did the review. That was a Phantom Vision Plus, 1100, I believe, at the time.
11 or 12.
I thought it was more than that.
1300. You're right, 1300,
Yeah.
and then it reduced in price.
Plus a battery. Yep.
Plus battery. With the Phantom 3, it looks like a Phantom 2, a little bigger, but 2 models, 2 versions. Differences are the camera. You can get and only about $150 price difference each. The base model is $1,000. Has a 1080p 60 FPS max camera, 12 megapixel camera.
Does it come with a gimbal?
A gimbal.
Active gimbal.
Active gimbal.
All right.
Remote control, new remote control, everything. The professional version is, I believe, $1150 or $1,200. I don't double check on that price, but has a 4K 30 FPS camera.
Is it equivalent to the one on the Inspire?
That is what we don't know in terms of the sensor. Is it that same 4K sensor?
And that nice unrolled, unwarped image.
It's $1,250. Yeah, $1,250, so $250 more. Now, it is unwarped because it's not that 120, 140 degree field of view. The Phantom 3, both of them have a 94 degree field of view.
Okay.
Which is awesome.
Is that comparable to the Phantom 2?
The Phantom 2 had a really wide
Pretty
field of
wide. Yeah, it's like 160 or
view.
140 or something
and
like
you
that.
cropped in the Phantom 2
okay.
if you wanted narrow mode, but then you're losing pixels.
Got it.
You're not optimizing. It's like a digital crop. I hate that stuff. So Phantom 3, both of them, they'll shoot RAW. It's definitely a new sensor. I'm not sure if it's the exact same sensor as Inspire. My guess is it's not. But the high-end model, $1,250, 4K gimbal. Now, here's some great things. It inherits LightBridge from the Inspire, so no more Wi-Fi extender for getting your video to a phone. All the signal from the Phantom, everything comes through LightBridge to
That's
the
awesome.
controller.
Do you have the HDMI out on the
And then
controller?
I don't know if you have the HDMI, but you definitely have the plug to plug it into your phone.
Okay.
So you use your phone to have the app, and then you can control the gimbal camera with the phone.
So it
just
uses
like
your
you can the
lightning,
Inspire.
but lightning or
think
your
it's
USB
Lightning.
port on your phone rather than
and then
Wi-Fi.
some limited. It's only limited compatibility. That's why it's not every single Android phone is supported at launch, but iOS will be. It has better satellite tracking with more satellites using Russia's GPS.
What?
In
No
addition
kidding.
to U.S. GPS, so there are more satellites out there. You can get more pinpoint accuracy.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, there's an EU GPS too.
And then there's also it has the visual stabilization system, camera that points down.
Yeah.
The Inspire does.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sonar,
So you can fly indoors.
so you can fly indoors and do auto takeoff and landing.
Well, and that's the thing that lets it be more stable on takeoff with you. So it looks like they pulled a bunch of the stuff that's in the Inspire,
Yep.
minus
It
the
doesn't
foldy
transform.
wings.
Yeah, so it doesn't transform, and so you're still going to see the leg struts if you do crazy pans.
That doesn't bother me.
So why would you buy the Inspire instead of this?
Well, Inspire, I think you can do 2 controls with Inspire. I don't think you can do 2 remotes with this one. I bet the differentiating factor is Inspire. Also, their camera is removable.
I think if you're doing professional video work, also the ability to be able to turn the camera
All the
without
way.
without turning
Yeah.
your quad
'Cause
is pretty handy.
Regardless of how good you are with that,
Especially with
that
that
quad,
second camera, man.
you can't get a smooth stop and stop with propellers because it's compensating. There's
Yeah.
gonna be a lag there, and you're gonna get the wobble. What else? Battery. It's a new type of battery. I think it's a 4S battery in series, 4-cell. So it's 23 minutes of flight time. That's
pretty
increased
good, yeah.
from the about
18.
18 to 20. And then it'll also do, because of LightBridge, it'll get 720p downlink, and it'll also stream to YouTube directly from the Phantom if you want.
Wait, what?
You can stream from the Phantom to YouTube. You'll
Do-
pipe the signal to your phone and then pipe it up to YouTube.
That's bananas.
That's the first time they've done that.
I think it is. No waypoint stuff yet on this one.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay, it's not the camera from the Inspire.
I don't think it's it's not that module.
Right.
It looks more like the Phantom 2 Vision module. They didn't announce any Phantom 3s without a camera. For people a lot of
So
people.
these are all Visions.
These are all Visions. Well, I think their PR people were coy when asked specifically about that. So maybe
When
that will come.
when they moved from having no camera to camera, their sales went off the chart. Like they couldn't deal with it.
I think that was a coincidence, though.
Why?
I think the price on the quads came down to the point, and the awareness of them came up to a point that all of a sudden
But
everybody
the price
who had.
was much higher.
But I guess my point is, with the camera, I think the camera was incidental. I think the camera gave everybody a good reason to think, oh, here's the thing I can use this for.
And that's
But-
really key.
But I think that the awareness also spiked at the same time
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like,
You're right.
I hadn't heard of them. I hadn't heard of this kind of consumer quad until we went to CES that year, and that was when they started a big marketing push and when they started getting a lot of good press.
So in their press conference, and you can go to their YouTube channel, they have tons of sample videos. And the night stuff looks good, much like the night stuff on the Vision Plus, the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, not usable, I thought.
No, it's hard to even see to like find yourself if you have a big light.
They brought up Philip Bloom. Have you seen the video that he shot with the Phantom? He went to... Joey, what's that country that Philip Bloom went to that he shot a video? It was a southeastern country.
Southeast Asian?
Southeast
like
Asian
Singapore
country?
Or Malaysia or something?
Something like in Malaysia. I don't want to say, but there's an amazing video on Vimeo that Philip Bloom, a videographer, shot with his Phantom 2, and they brought him on stage to talk about shooting with the Phantom series. And I think the reason you would buy a Phantom 3 over the Thailand, is you can take it with. It's easier to travel with.
That's
because
true.
of a smaller kit.
Like that bag that we have for the Phantom,
which is a big bag.
It's a big bag, but it still fits in the overhead.
You can get a Pelican that's not the size of a big suitcase, like a giant suitcase.
Like an overhead sized Pelican.
Yeah, you get an overhead sized Pelican and put that as your carry on, and bring that wherever you travel. And that's what they want people to do.
So are they just getting rid of the stock of Phantom 2s and discontinuing them?
Big price drop on those.
So what are they now?
I want to say Vision Plus is way under 1,000. They didn't say exactly when these would come out. A couple weeks. Other people got briefings, and we're hoping to get one soon.
Is this will this use the API stuff that the Phantom 2 supports as well?
I don't know.
If they're discontinuing the Phantom 2,
I would
think
assume so, but you never know.
Yeah, maybe not out the gate.
Yeah, I would hope that if this is like I would hope that this would continue to use the API stuff if that's we've seen interesting applications of those APIs, so hopefully it continues. But no ETA and price is the same?
Well, price is $1,000 and $1,250, so same as last year for a high-end Phantom. I mean, I know a lot of people out there are going to say that's really too expensive because I can build a quadcopter for $500 or $400, but this is not the same thing. And you can buy a DJI controller to get GPS, to get the attitude control or Ratitude
and
flight mode,
and also gimbal control too, right?
I mean, you can buy a Ronin, a Zenmuse gimbal system, or a third-party gimbal system to put your own GoPro on there. What you're getting with this is all-in-one system where their video signal transfer is going to be better than the other companies.
Right.
Everything gets tied to one controller, one battery system, one signal, and they really tried to advertise how easy this would be for novices to get involved with, which is not. I don't think that's the best strategy, like for a hobbyist and a safety perspective. But they had one of their photographers come up and say, I'm just a housewife and I don't know how a Phantom works, but I can fly it and I love flying it, and this is my third one I've bought.
The last 3 crashed into the side of a mountain.
No, it's not. It didn't. It's not. It's
I
not
know,
that.
I know.
But like, I think communicating how easy it is dangerous. And you have to be really careful about that.
I mean, here's the thing: people are going to buy at the price points that these are at. While hobbyists look at $1,000 and think that's expensive because they know that they can build something that's comparable or at least has comparable flight characteristics for $500.
I don't know though. At this point, after the GoPro and all of the radio,
well, that's the
that
thing.
You're not going to save much money.
And the integration with the control, like the thing that Norm said is absolutely right. The integration with the controller that these quads have for people who are learning to fly makes it much easier. It means that you don't have to have somebody standing there with a separate radio and an Android tablet to get your flight information and your telemetry.
And as good as the open source stuff is, it's still
way hinky.
It's still open source, and the UI is not user friendly.
You mean that you can put the quad into it basically flying death mode without knowing but by accident? Because it's poorly documented a lot of times.
3D Robotics is announcing their own Phantom competitor on Monday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's going to be really crowded, and I believe that GoPro is going to announce a quadcopter soon. In the next year. So
the interesting thing to me is that the open source software has actually gotten a lot more usable in the last since we started flying the 3D robotics quads. I downloaded the latest version of APM Copter and all that stuff, and it is much less scary. Like, my complaint about it before wasn't that it was scary to use; it was that it was poorly documented. So they would have like you would have you'd have to decompress a reference in the documentation that said this. It would say something like this mode is just like this mode, and then when you go back to that mode, it'd say this mode is just like this mode with this change. So you had to then kind of decompress, like, okay, this mode is an attitude mode with self-leveling, and this one turns off self-leveling, and then this one turns off GPS in all but the go home circumstances and stuff like that. So it ended up being really difficult. The documentation's gotten a lot better in the last 6 months. I assume somebody's been working on that.
I'll say regardless of documentation,
yeah.
and you're supposed to, you should read the manual and you should know your hardware when you fly it. The last thing I want to be thinking of is 50 different flight variables when I'm trying to take a picture.
Right.
And there's a lot to say about, I can spend the time and I can be comfortable using, open source hardware and software. But if they make flying easy and something I don't have to worry about mid-flight, and I can focus on doing the video or the photos, that's the biggest selling point.
The tool that gets out of your way when you're using it is the tool that I want to be using. So Apple Watch reviews. Apple Watch reviews hit this morning. Like I said, I read several, 4 or 5. I didn't see any from fashion sites, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, The Verge touched on that. They have a relationship with the fashion magazine that they went and spoke to. I'm just saying, that's there.
Yes.
Who's our fashion expert? Who's our fashion expert?
Joey.
Uh-oh.
Probably Joey.
We should get Greg Viederman to
No.
He's the biggest watch collector I know. He buys tons of watches and they're expensive. And he's kind of douchey.
They're not.
He's the perfect person to be critical from a fashion perspective.
Anyway.
I'm only partly kidding.
Anyway.
I only watched the Verge one. I didn't have time to do more than that.
So the upshot was everybody talked about a lot of the same stuff. Battery life seems to be pretty solid. The Verge review said that there were a couple times that they got under 10%, but never had any real battery panics. And that was after a day of like hard use. So that was a day of, hey, I'm showing this to a ton of people. I'm using it way more than I would on a normal situation. And we're also doing some photography and stuff. So there's like a lot more watch stuff happening.
Let's be clear what this first wave of review represents.
Oh, these are the people that Apple handed a watch to and said, hey, review this. And presumably that means that Apple knows kind of what to expect from those outlets and people.
I mean, from a reviewer perspective, assume that these people, how long they have it, they say? 2 weeks?
Didn't say
3 weeks?
in most cases.
Let's say, 3 weeks at the most, because from the last event.
I would assume that they got handed at the end of the event or at the beginning of the event or shortly thereafter.
I think the purpose and the functionality of this first wave of reviews is purely from a technical and functional standpoint of the watch.
Yes.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to the long-term social and experiential. So don't read these reviews to figure out if the watch is going to change your life.
Well,
read these reviews to see if what Apple has claimed from the technical standpoint and the application standpoint is true.
I mean, that's the thing. Well, here's the thing. You may read the reviews and see what it's capable of. Like the best of these reviews, like the thing I like about Gruber's review is it basically says, here's what it's like to use this watch. Here's what happens when you turn this. Here's what this button does. Here's how this works. Here's what happens when you swipe up to see the glances. Here's all of these different things.
It's a subjective version of the Apple product demo.
But yeah, so the people who are good at this pull out the bullshit and give you here's the real life example of how this works in the real world. I think it's very likely that some people will read these reviews and be like, okay, this doesn't do anything that I need. I'm not going to buy this, which is perfectly fine. Like that is that is the right way to use this content. So I wouldn't say don't base purchasing decisions on this, but I wouldn't say if somebody says, hey, this was really amazing and it changed my life after 10 days of using it, I don't think I would assume that the same thing is going to happen to you.
I think there is a lot of people on the fence about the watch, right? More so than past Apple products. There's a lot of people who are saying, I'm not sure why I need this, but I love Apple.
When people ask me what I think about it, I tell them it's much more of an iPad than an iPhone, right? Like the iPhone you looked at, especially after the App Store was out, and we're like, well, I should probably get one of those. That seems like it's pretty fucking great. And the iPad was like, oh, I spend a lot of time reading. Maybe I should get that. But if you don't spend a lot of time reading, maybe you don't need an iPad.
And you can get the iPad even if you don't have any other Apple product.
Right. That also is true.
Here you can.
It's an accessory for your phone.
So battery life seemed good. A lot of people complained about performance. Some of that in all aspects of it, from the time it takes when you lift your hand up and get into the looking at the watch gesture, which was people said was seconds longer than anticipated, and
Whoa.
Not seconds, milliseconds longer than anticipated. A noticeable lag between when you lift it up and
Yeah.
when you can see the time.
Now, how does that compare to other smartwatches?
Well, the Pebble's on all the time, so there's no lag. What about you, Norm?
Let me turn that mode on.
I think I remember you saying it was slow when
It
we
is
did it
slow.
before.
It is absolutely slow. I've gone to a point where I tap my watch to activate it as opposed to letting the gyro.
I wonder if that's an
Flip it
option
on.
on the iPhone.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah. So the thing that Gruber said is it doesn't, at least in the version he has, and everyone also said that there is going to be a software update between the reviewed units
Now
and the
release, yeah.
release version, where Apple's saying that they're going to address some of the performance concerns, but who knows how much of that will actually happen. He said you couldn't actually adjust the time. He said it was about 6 seconds, that after you move it into the gesture, the watch stays on for about 6 seconds. If you don't interact with it during that time, it'll turn off at the end of 6 seconds, even if you leave it in the watch, looking at watch position. If you tap it, it stays on for 17 seconds. And his assumption was that that's because of the false positive-y nature of the gesture versus the not false positive-y nature of actually touching the
Right.
screen or pressing a button.
That makes
All right,
sense.
Jeremy, here we're going to do a quick video test. Now, it's in a dim mode. My watch, the Asus Zen
Sleepy
watch.
time.
Oh, so it's always in that.
Yeah, it's OLED screen, so
Okay.
I have the always screen on. So
Yeah.
when I lift it up, it's going to brighten up, and you see a
Yep.
icon on the bottom.
Go.
Are you ready? That didn't do it. Bad gyro. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go. That was at least half a second.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not instantaneous here.
No, I didn't expect it to be. I actually want to tap it. I think I'll probably end up doing that because I can do that while I'm bringing my wrist up.
If it worked instantaneously and worked and had a low failure rate, like a 1%, let's say sub
Yeah.
5%
It
failure
wasn't
rate,
always on. Yeah.
that would be really, really, really compelling.
I think always on is the sweet spot, but we're
That's-
not going to be
we're
there
not
for a
gonna
while.
be-
I don't know why they aren't doing always on with an AMOLED, because it's an AMOLED screen in the
It's
watch.
still power. It's still
Is the Apple Watch
power.
AMOLED?
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
AMOLED.
And that's something we didn't talk about. The watch, the AMOLED in the watch, I think is the flash memory of this generation.
What does that mean?
Oh, you think that's the thing that they're trying to scale?
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense, because if they can get the benefit of AMOLED, I feel like nobody has really exploited except for maybe Motorola with the Moto X.
Well, and Samsung, who makes arguably the best AMOLED screens, I know a lot of people love, and DisplayMate has reviewed its AMOLED, their Super AMOLED screens very well. There's still the the sub-pixel arrangement in the pentile screen is something that people don't like, which is not to say that is tied forever to AMOLED.
The thing that that Ray said in the DisplayMate write-ups, though, is that as the resolution goes up, the pentile arrangement matters less, because you can't see it as much.
I can still see it.
Oh,
But
even on the
I
Note?
think that on the Note I could see it.
Okay.
I think that Johnny Ive telegraphed this in his New Yorker profile,
One of the many.
that really long one, the one where he talked about, why does a lock screen have to show me a picture? Like, he was talking about, why can't I get the ambient info? And he was basically talking about the features that you get currently with the Moto X, like some of the good stuff, at the same time while knocking the customization abilities of the Moto X line. I think if they can get edge-to-edge blackness and on an AMOLED screen, seamlessly blend the screen with the border, then they will, and as they want to do with the watch, then one of the next iPhones will have an AMOLED screen.
So I mean, the benefit of AMOLED is that because the backlight and the color generation are tied to the same thing. Basically, if you're displaying black, it's free from a power standpoint, whereas any color you display costs more. So white is the most expensive, and the more, yeah. Anyway, I think that's a pretty fair guess. I also think that the Taptic stuff is going to be in everything that Apple ships.
That's right.
Going forward.
Think about these features: the Taptic engine, like Force Touch, Taptic, and those are two separate things. Force Touch is a layer of sensor below the capacitance sensor.
It's pressure sensitive, capacitive touchscreen.
Now,
basically.
when I say pressure sensitive, what people are speculating is that it actually just detects the surface area of your finger. if you press bigger, your pad gets flatter against the screen, and so that's how it's through software.
That's what they're expecting the new iPhone to do.
That's right. So think about.
But that's not how the Apple Watch works, is it?
That is how the Apple Watch works.
No kidding.
I think that's how the Apple Watch.
Then why
works.
would they make a distinction with the next iPhone having that technology being any different?
Because the Apple Watch has the taptic
the haptic feedback.
the haptic feedback on the other side of the watch, which hits your wrist, which is also similar
I
to
see.
how the touchpad, the trackpad.
The touchpad
on
has the electromagnets on
so
the back.
think about all these features that are in the watch that are new to Apple that might make it to future products because they're scaling and building factories and getting production perfected. AMOLED, a haptic sensor, the force touch sensor, the taptic feedback.
I think
also,
bundle those two things. I think we're not going to see those two things not together.
and then also gyro activated information because if you perfect watch response time where you can flick a wrist and get and go from a dim screen to some information, that's something you can easily then put on a phone, or if you lift up the phone.
I mean, but that's a feature HTC had 5 years ago.
But, and this is the difference is Apple has a lower tolerance for failure,
it sucking.
for
Yeah.
it sucking.
I honestly think the only thing that's going to make everybody happy is always on. Because there's a moment between when I start to flick and flick that I actually want to see the information. I want to see it when it's there, not turn on once it's there.
And when you're looking at like an analog watch takes a moment to read. I'm 40 years old. I've been looking at clocks for a long, long time.
Yep.
But you have to kind of orient yourself in that space. You look for two or three things depending on what you're looking for, whether it's the sweep hand or the minutes hand or the hour hand. Like it takes a moment to register. Oh yeah, it's 2:25. And then I looked at the digital just to confirm. So if you're looking at an analog watch face on a digital on a smartwatch, and you don't have that, and it isn't visible from the moment you start looking at the screen, it just emphasizes how much longer. It just makes it obvious
Right.
how much longer that time takes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm interested to see how this stuff works out. My hunch is that the on time, off time is something that as they see more people use, they'll refine that gesture to the point that it actually comes on before you can get it into visibility before time. But as always, buy the product that ships, not the product that you want it to be 6 months from now.
I expect to get to the point where I'm tapping my watch before I even look at it. You know?
Yeah, and you're like that just becomes part of your motion
Exactly.
to lift up your
Yes.
arm. That's what Norm does now.
I don't feel like we summarized the reviews.
So I was going to go down the performance stuff. App load times, everybody said were slow. So these are the non-native apps, the ones that are being piped over from the phone. Anytime you have to use location information,
It takes
that was
forever.
slow.
Yeah.
The glances, which is the thing that you swipe up from the bottom of the watch screen, it's kind of like widgets. That stuff was slow in terms of like anytime you had to load something from the phone, you'd see a little bit of the iOS equivalent of the beach ball. And then the last thing was notifications, making the whole thing stutter. So like it seems
My
like
prediction is that apps on the watch will be not nearly as
A thing that nobody uses.
Will be not a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it will be a low API tapping into just like the native Apple stuff. Vibrations or whatever the taps are, or some, but it won't be separate experiences.
Well, I mean, the apps are there, but there's again, we're not going to see native apps for 6 months or something like that. It's not until the first big update to the software. So, this is the iPad parallels are really strong here because this is another thing. It's a brand new thing. The people who are building apps for it right now are essentially building them blind for the most part, except for the dozen or so partners that got early access to presumably hardware and software to build like Uber and some of those experiences. So I think what's going to happen is the same thing that we saw happen with the iPad, where there's a rush of early releases, and then of those early releases, there are a handful of UI interactions that make a ton of sense and work really well, and then everybody mimics those, and that evolves over the first 6 months or so of the life of the product until when the second one comes out next year, or even when the mid-cycle software refresh hits. It's a completely different experience than you had on the 24th. Let's see, taptic feedback everybody liked. Like Gruber said that was something he felt like was going to be on every Apple product. After using it on this trackpad, I absolutely think that's
How
like,
could it be integrated on the phone?
if you had that instead of the Rumble. So think the thing
No,
he
but
said.
where on the phone?
If you carry it in your pocket, it doesn't matter because it's one solid thing. It makes the whole thing move. The point isn't that it's better than it's a good way to have skin on machine contact. The point is it's a much more effective way of getting your attention than Rumble because they're playing essentially audio wave forms through the taptic thing so that you're feeling it's much more responsive, much more attention getting kind of motion.
Isn't the sensation also varied?
The sensation varies based on the sound
that would be
you have it
interesting
hooked to.
for game developers, I would think.
Oh yeah, I think absolutely. Like look at
Ghost phone in your pocket's going to feel a whole lot weirder.
well, you guys have all used the Steam controller.
Yes.
I mean, you know what that trackpad, what that touchpad. It's a smooth surface, but it tricks your finger into thinking it's not.
Yeah.
If you can get the same kind of motion on phone vibrations, I mean, I don't notice phone vibrations most of the time. I miss meetings all the time because if the phone's in my pocket, it's on silent. I'm never going to hear it. So like if that is a way to rest it up against your leg, it bounces a little bit. That seems good.
Isn't also one of the point? I mean, I could see this making its way to an Apple phone as well. But one of the points of the Apple Watch is that your phone doesn't need to have any type of notification, and that all goes through the watch.
I mean, that would be the hope. But I mean, they're going to keep making phones for people who don't have watches.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying that logically,
Yeah.
That's the story they're telling.
One of the things that I thought was interesting is that the digital touch stuff, that's all of like the drawing penises on the screen and doing the heartbeat and making the emoji and the weird mime hands. That stuff isn't instant. I thought that was something that would immediately take over.
What do you mean?
So like if I hook you up to the UI I send you my heartbeat, it comes across like an SMS, it isn't like a walkie-talkie. It's more like an SMS.
So it's not until you let go and send.
It's not and it's not even then. It seems like there's even some more lag than that.
Okay.
Depending on network conditions, yada yada.
Yeah. I mean, so what?
It's not magical at all.
If you're not in the same room, you're not even going to notice.
Yeah, but I want that stuff to be instant.
Don't you want syncopated heartbeats?
Syncopated heartbeats seems really bad. It seems like something you should go to the doctor for. So anyway,
people, Nile loved the RFID, the Apple Pay.
Yes,
he thought that was his favorite thing.
I thought that I was surprised by that.
It's even easier than the phone.
And the way that works, this is another question we had early on, is that as soon as you've signed into your phone with a thumbprint, and the phone the watch has remained on, and the phone hasn't left the range of your watch, the Apple Pay just works.
As long as you continue to wear the watch.
As long as you continue.
Yeah.
If you take it off and then put it back on, you have to re-authenticate
because it knows skin contact.
Yeah. Last thing is everybody the consensus on the scroll wheel was that is a really, really nice interface.
Yeah.
And if Apple hasn't patented the living shit out of that, it's going to show up on a lot of the other smartwatches.
Sure. Tim Cook didn't do a Steve Jobs, and we've patented the hell out of it.
I remember that
with the multi-touch. But this is the multi-touch.
Yeah.
Did anyone else besides Nile touch on the number of notifications that you get and the seeming increase in number of alerts?
It was interesting because so my experience with the Pebble, and I think Norm's was similar, was that the very first thing I did after setting that up was turn off notifications for everything that was not essential.
Oh.
Like at this point on my phone, notifications are iMessage, Google Hangouts, which we use to talk to each other since you, Joey and Norm, are Android people now. Slack, which we use for internal team communication. VIP emails, so like the half dozen or so people that I want to get notified for email on.
Yeah. So you sort of
calendars.
You whitelist things.
I literally
as opposed to blacklist.
Nothing gets notifications.
Yeah.
If I sign up for Starbucks and they want notifications, they can fuck right off. You have to do that. Because the watch will you could really tell reading the reviews who had used smartwatches before and who hadn't.
Interesting.
Because I can't imagine using a smartwatch for more than 3 days without pruning the list of notifications. I think that Apple's going to have to address the notification situation, and probably and frankly Google will too. Like what I want is a unified notification control panel where I can say, okay, this app can notify my iPad but not my phone, and my Mac but not my phone, and so on and so forth, so that you have a cohesive experience and I don't have to keep changing it. I don't have to keep fiddling with it on different devices.
All I want to be is notified of tweets with at least 50 retweets and 50 faves posted by someone I follow or someone that I follow follows.
Man, that's a good idea. Do you have a way to do that right now?
No.
Oh, there you go. Normally wants to know what's popular. Yeah, so everybody says, look, it's the best smartwatch out there. It's rough. It's first generation.
I don't know how many
expensive.
of those people live with other smartwatches.
I don't know.
Too.
It seemed like most of them had not seen other smartwatches. From my
You can get notifications on your wrist.
Yeah. The notifications seems like people are living in the notifications. I'm bummed if glances aren't going to be useful. I thought that was one of the more interesting parts of the watch. But we'll know in a couple of weeks.
Differences between the sizes.
I think they asked. So Apple asked people which watch they were interested in, which bands, and they sent them the watch that they were interested in and one or more bands. Seems like most people were testing the $1,100 stainless steel link bracelet or one of the leather bands, depending on personal preference. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how much of that stuff changes after release. Of course, I'm going to pre-order something on Friday. I hope
Yeah, me
if everything
too.
goes well.
I'll be up at midnight along with you. My wife is already threatening not to wear it.
Really?
Yeah, because she doesn't wear a watch, and I don't wear a watch either. But I'm gonna.
You're in.
I'm in.
You could
True believer.
you could modify it and turn it into a headband.
Thing is, I need her to wear it. My favorite feature is the ability to tap her wrist from anywhere.
Yeah.
Because 50% of the time she doesn't answer her phone.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for. She has to wear it.
You need to make her a bracelet so she just wear it as like a pendant.
I told her it's not a watch. It's a relationship band.
So you're telling her if you don't wear this, you don't love me.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
It's really expensive, questionably useful.
The 400. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people highlighted how distracting it is. I think that the distraction. I think that if you map, at least my experience with other smartwatches,
That's notifications, right? I mean,
notifications.
basically.
Yeah, has led me to believe that if you don't prune down those notifications, the more you prune down the notifications, the more present you are, because you don't have your phone going off constantly in your pocket, making you think, oh, hey, I should be looking at this.
I'm not going to be any more present. I don't eat without the phone on the table. And that's just, I'm sorry, but that's me. I get flack for it, but that's just, people have to accept it. Now, rather than my phone being the distraction, my wristwatch is going to be the distraction.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's any more socially acceptable or not.
Are you going to, well, I'll tell you.
It's going to be more convenient.
I will tell you from the smartwatch, people get really offended if you look at your watch while you're talking to them.
It's like because it reflects the old thing,
It's
which
like,
is what is it?
Oh,
what
do you
time
have
is
something
it?
somewhere you need to be?
Yeah, right.
No, someone just texted me. They're more important than you. I felt a tweet. Do you know what 1,000 retweet tweet feels like? It's pulsing.
But that would be amazing if the more popular the tweet gets, the more intense the taptic feedback.
What does a tweet feel
Or if
like?
the taptic could somehow communicate to you,
You
if
get one pulse per fave.
Hey,
yeah, right.
Hey, look at me. Siri, shut up. Oh my goodness. Did you read the David Pierce Wired story from I think a week ago about the development of the Apple Watch and how in Apple in testing people have been known to randomly stand up at meetings because the watch has told them they have been sitting for too long.
Yes.
That seems really, really crazy. Like literally on the Jawbone Up will do the same thing. If you sit for more than an hour, it's like, hey, you should stand up.
Yep, Samsung phones do that. And
I don't want that. It's annoying.
I say, phone, fuck off.
Yeah, it is distracting at such a high level. It is one of the first things I turn off. On the iOS and OS 10 and Apple front, there's two big updates for iOS and OS 10 hit Wednesday morning. 8.3 for iOS is out. 10.10.3 is out for OS 10. The big changes in iOS are that you don't have to put in a password for free app downloads anymore. And they fixed the keyboard in Safari so that you don't do the thing when you're searching Google where it's like word period, word period, word period, word period, word period that started with iOS 8.
I wonder if kids can download free apps without permission.
I'm sure that is a still parental controllable thing. OS 10, there's a couple of new things. It's basically a bug fix release. But finally, the Photos app is live. So this is the replacement for iPhoto and Aperture. It's basically the only way to access iCloud photos on a Mac, and it brings back it's the complete photo library stored in your iCloud account. I haven't installed it yet because it came out an hour before we started the podcast, and I use the Mac for the podcast. So
It's been in like open beta for a while.
I don't think Photos has been in open beta. 8.3 has been in. Was
Yeah,
it?
I thought so.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you could
people
download
using Photos.
It's been in the developer portal for a while.
I
for
haven't
sure.
used it. I'm looking forward to trying it out.
It
What do
looks
you use right now?
looks fast.
Do you use iPhoto right now?
I hate using iPhoto because it just takes forever.
Oh.
Whenever you turn it on, just because it's been so long.
This is one of those problems that if it was a fresh product without the legacy of iPhone and all that, I guess you can call it baggage. But it's the same problem people get when they get new phones is they have all their photos. Presumably, many smartphone users first started taking a ton of photos when they got their iPhones, and if you're on your third or fourth iPhone, you could have thousands of photos.
Yeah, that's
already
why
backed up.
That's why they sell that 128 gig model now.
Exactly.
I had to do this the other day because I got the new phone, and I did the normal. I pulled all my photos off and then wiped the photos off the phone, so they're all backed up on a hard drive someplace, a couple hard drives. But then I had to do the complete reinstall of iOS because one of the things they tell you is when you have crashy iOS, sometimes it's because of a shitty app in the backup. And it is an enormous pain in the ass to set up a phone from scratch. Like I hadn't done it in probably 2 phones, maybe 3 phones. And it took a hell of a long time. The ability to pull photos from iCloud takes forever. Like it's just not a great experience. So good luck anybody who's doing a new phone, I guess.
You skipped over HBO Go.
I did. I forgot HBO Now.
Or Now, rather.
This is probably one of the big deals of the week. HBO Now launched Tuesday, maybe? Is that right? Yesterday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the HBO Go without cable. Have you tried it yet, Norm? Have any of us signed up for it?
I mean, you can do it on an iPhone, but I don't have an iPhone.
You get a free 30-day
right.
trial, and I'm just waiting for the perfect moment to start that.
Veep to start.
It's the Sunday.
I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta do it Saturday night.
Is it now? Is this the same service as HBO Go?
Yes.
It is. It's the same catalog.
Yes. The same catalog, but the app that they are using for it, I believe, is not the same app.
It's a different app.
I know
yes.
that.
'Cause it's-
on Apple TV, there's 2 apps.
The distribution service is through MLB Networks, the same technology.
Oh,
as
no
WWE
kidding.
and MLB.
Huh.
Because one of the reasons they were able to launch this and self-distribute is there was some shakeup at HBO last year where they wanted to do something in-house and they decided just to license it.
And it was built by the same people who made the MLB. You just said that, didn't you?
Well,
Yeah.
who does HBO Go?
I think they developed that
Is that
one
in-house?
They probably built that in-house.
Weird.
So does this mean it doesn't
And
use
that
the
one
same
actually,
infrastructure?
I think, that's a really good question. I don't know if like HBO Go actually pulls streams from Comcast, like whoever your network is.
No. HBO Go, I'm sure, is hitting HBO's servers or HBO's CDN. I mean, we'll find out on Sunday if HBO Now works and HBO Go doesn't. Because typically on Game of Thrones night, HBO Go goes to shit.
That's funny.
We'll know. I mean, $15 is pretty much exactly what I pay Comcast right now for HBO.
Just for HBO.
Like for the HBO portion of my subscription.
Right.
So I could easily, I could just switch that over.
How many people can you sign up with for HBO? Can you log on to with HBO Now?
It
Don't know
did
yet.
say multiple people.
Yeah. I would assume, I would assume at least 2 and probably no more than 4.
Netflix caps it too, I think.
Netflix. It depends if you.
Depends.
It used to be that you could pay more and get more streams, or if you in the old days of Netflix, it was tied to the number of discs that you have.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
if you had a 3-disc plan, you could have 3 streams connected at once. Now that nobody has discs anymore, I don't know how that stuff works.
Yeah.
But I know that people do have, you can, at least for some period of time, you could pay more and get more streams with Netflix, which makes sense if you have four kids
Yeah.
and a bunch of people in the house and want to watch some, get your TV watching on. I don't know. I think let's revisit HBO Now and see if it goes to hell on Sunday night when Game of Thrones hits.
You know what's sad news, or I guess maybe good, depending on what your taste is. DirecTV no longer allowed to run those Rob Lowe commercials.
Wait, what? Why not? Sad Rob Lowe, creepy Rob Lowe, nerd Rob Lowe.
Well,
Redneck Rob
It's
Lowe.
one of the most successful campaigns in recent memory.
Oh, they're
in terms
terrible.
of-
No, that's good.
I think that some people find them maybe not funny.
Oh,
Some people maybe find them.
like too close to home.
They're a
Not funny?
little. They're writing on stereotypes that are profoundly negative.
Right, they're writing stereotypes, and Rob Lowe is poking fun at himself.
I like that.
Which I think I like, and then the way they're shot is beautiful. I really appreciate them because of the marketing trickery that I thought DirecTV got away with. Because in every commercial, the first one, I'm like, how can they do this? How could Rob Lowe, or how could they make these claims that cable sucks? But they never actually do. They say, DirecTV has great service, and then what they say about cable is that, I'm sad, Rob Lowe. I have no friends, and I have cable, but not. They don't say that cable doesn't have.
What
Good
they're
service.
saying is cable makes you a loser.
It's a big correlation, but it's never a causation. And at the end, the big tagline is, "Don't be like me. Ditch cable and get DirecTV." And that pause is everything. That little pause is, "Don't be like me."
So
as
why-
one statement. Also, I would like you to ditch cable and get DirecTV, but not "Don't be like me" because cable makes you like me. Ditch cable and get DirecTV.
I have
Cable's
to-
for losers, guys.
But
I have not.
Comcast-
I have not thought about this. this much.
Every time I watch it, I'm like, that pause is getting shorter. DirecTV is getting bolder. They're like
Norm.
getting the R value of this commercial is high correlation. Comcast complained about it
to the
and
FTC.
The NAD, the National Advertising Division, part of the Better Business Bureau,
Okay.
and they voted in favor of Comcast and said,
Unbelievable.
DirecTV, you are making unreasonable claims
That's
that
power.
cannot be substantiated. And DirecTV said, you have no sense of humor.
That is the ban.
So what? They're going to change the ads.
Rob Lowe can no longer at the end of the ads make that big
Don't
bold
be a
statement.
loser.
Don't be like me.
Oh, that's it. That's all I have to change.
All
right.
And yeah,
All right, change the wording.
the thing I like the most about the commercial, though, every time I'm like, oh, you're so bold, DirecTV, so bold.
The Amazon Echo got an update today.
Oh, dude, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, we missed some stuff last week when we talked about Echo.
I think the Pandora. That came out.
We talked about that.
I don't know if we did.
Maybe.
We did not.
No, I
Oh.
think that came out afterwards. I think there have been two substantial updates since we discussed it.
So that you can do Pandora. The other thing we missed entirely is that there's an API that developers can apply to get access to, and presumably people are making third-party apps. Presumably some of the stuff we're going to talk about today came as a result of that.
Presumably.
Wemo support, so two home automation tools, Wemo and Philips Hue, neither of which are particularly, well, I don't know about Wemo, but Philips Hue is kind of underwhelming on its own. But if you have a Hue bridge in your house, you can connect the Echo to it, and you can say things like, Alexa, turn off the lights, and she'll do that.
Now, come on, let's make it sexy. This is what the email says you can say. Alexa, turn on the hallway light. Alexa, turn on the coffee maker. Alexa, dim the living room lights to 20%.
Really? You can get that far into it?
Alexa, turn on the electric blanket or turn on the outdoor decorations.
I want, so you could presumably tell Alexa to get the party started, and she would do that.
Oh my goodness.
I want SmartThings integration in this. This Wemo integration is so compelling, I might switch everything over to Wemo, which would be an enormous pain in the ass.
Not to mention expense, yeah.
$40
$40 an outlet?
No, you can use the same Z-Wave stuff, I'm sure.
Oh, you think?
I would bet.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It would just be a day.
Okay.
I think I'd rather spend $40 an outlet, frankly. So yeah, that's interesting. We'll keep you posted on that stuff. I think that this is interesting. After last week, we talked about the UB a little bit last week. People sent me links to a couple of other voice controlled devices, including an alarm clock that has voice activation for SmartThings integration. So I got one of those coming, and we'll let you know how that goes.
I was already tempted by Philips Hue, so this just gets me kind of excited. And frankly, I have enjoyed using Alexa more and more all the time. I have broken up with Siri as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
She doesn't listen to me. She doesn't understand what I'm saying. Honestly, even the Hey Siri stuff, if she's within a few feet of me, she doesn't even respond.
oh boy.
Did I do that?
That was me.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break for a word from our promotional partners. I'm going to play some music while we do that. Hey, Joey, I don't know when it's going to start. right now. Okay, good. Hey, Norm.
Hey, Will.
When did you build a last website?
My last website or
Yes.
my first website?
The last website.
Oh, I want to talk about my first website. My first website was a GeoCities Quake fan site using Microsoft Front Page.
Wow.
So many tables. I think definitely used frames, and it was to host my favorite Quake 1 skins. It was terrible.
Well, the good news for you is that Squarespace makes making your own website easier than it has ever been before. It's simple, powerful, beautiful. They have 24/7 live support via chat and email, and it only costs $8 a month. Do you know what you get if you sign up for a full year?
What do you get?
A free domain if you buy Squarespace for the year. If you want to find out more about Squarespace, you can start with a trial with no credit card required and start building your website today. Make sure you use the offer code TEST to get 10% off of your first purchase and show your support for our podcast. Thanks to Squarespace for supporting This Is Only a Test. Squarespace, build it beautiful.
Thanks for supporting us.
You think that's build it beautiful or build it beautiful? Build it beautiful.
I think that's one of the best things about company taglines. You can read it however you want.
Build it beautiful. The beautiful is capitalized, but there's no punctuation between build it and beautiful. So I don't build it beautiful.
Sometimes that's what you pay, a lot of money in marketing research for.
To get that kind of ambiguity.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. The double entendre, the great marketing double entendre.
So, seriously, guys, Alexa.
Is it that you like that it's always on?
I love it.
Yeah, I love the
No,
always
I
on.
totally love it. And she listens to you so well from the entire room, like the next room.
I feel like even
she
though
can hear me and understand me, I feel like I actually can have a conversation.
my use of Alexa is primarily at my desk. It's sitting like on the side table next to me behind, and I'm primarily using it as I'm typing on the computer. Oh, I realized I didn't get my news update or need something put in the background, and I say it out loud while I'm still typing or reading something, and it'll just happen. That seamlessness, that ability to activate it multitasking without taking my hands off the keyboard or even moving to face that direction helps. And then maybe 1 out of 10 times I use it when I'm standing up and across the room, but the ability then just to realize I can.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's
I know
a part of the room.
Amazon was the last one to this game, to this AI voice-activated game, but they did the always-on plugged-in version.
Actually, they've been doing it on the Fire tablets for a long time.
You're right. No, you're right. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. But they're the last ones I've used.
Yeah.
And they were the first ones to do the plugged-in always-on, on the speaker, or on the microphone that picks up the whole room. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they've totally leapfrogged everybody in that feature.
Now, do you think that we all expect that sometime this year Apple will relaunch the Apple TV with the price drop that just happened? The hardware has been the same hardware. It's been stale for a while.
Yeah.
They have to build that into.
If they
Apple
don't have
TV.
voice built into that, then they've messed up.
Yes.
Yeah, they must have, omnidirectional microphone built into your sound system.
I don't know if they need that, because if you think about it, I'm going to put that box hidden away in an entertainment somewhere, someplace where nobody sees it. I just want it on the remote. I think the way the Fire TV does it is really good. The failing of the Fire TV is that it doesn't search within apps as well as I would like. So even if I have the Plex app on my Fire TV and I press the voice button and say, "Hey Plex, play the Avengers," it doesn't search inside Plex.
But then Alexa's going to be your go-to for everything else. That's the thing.
Yeah,
As long as it has to be always available with voice alone to be the one the Star Trek computer.
The stick, Alexa or Echo comes with a stick. I never use that. That's stuck to the side of my fridge.
Oh, see, I use it stuck on the fridge because I use it when I'm in the kitchen and the Alexa's in the living room.
Well, okay, that's different.
Well, no, I'm just saying I just use it as a second voice point for input. I think that in order for this voice stuff to work, especially in an installation sense, like installed in your home, it needs to talk to everything that's smart in your house. Like you need to be able to talk to your TV. You need to be able to talk to if you have Sonos or some music player, it needs to talk to that. If it talks to the lights, it needs to talk to your sound systems throughout the house. It needs to be able to talk to everything.
Well, in the past 2 weeks, Alexa's received these 2 huge updates.
So this is what I was hoping we would see the entire time that this thing was out. And it's just, if this is the beginning of the ramp, I'm really, really excited.
And think about this. Going forward, if Amazon is smart about this, you buy a main Echo unit that big. It's not even that big. It's like a giant thermos, insulated container. It's in your living room, and that has the biggest speakers and omnidirectional mic. They can put the omnidirectional mic part, maybe without as big a speaker, and a smaller puck-like thing, and sell you as many as you need to put in all of your rooms.
That's right.
And then you get the Star Trek computer in every room, and it
Yeah.
just ties to it all. It's all a mesh network based, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's the dream.
I was thinking about hacking the Alexa to do that very thing, but wire microphones to all my rooms in my house. And
I mean,
speakers
the
as well.
plug, the puck is not unreasonable.
Yeah,
And what's a puck right now? The Apple TV.
I like it. All right, thank you for entertaining my Alexa addiction.
I like Alexa.
And I thought you were a big Apple fan.
Her jokes are funny. Let's see. Brontosaurus is back, baby.
Yeah, what? I didn't realize it had gone away.
Brontosaurus has been out for years.
Why?
Taxonomy, boring stuff. Basically, the number of vertebra or the number of bones or the length of the bones between its pelvis and its tail were different. Were not different enough from the Apatosaurus, which was another member of the same family. So when they looked at it, they were like, "Nah, this is probably the same dinosaur. We can't tell. I mean, who knows? It's 65 million years."
Littlefoot and Land Before Time, always a Brontosaurus. No identity crisis anymore.
So
I get that right
now.
Yeah, you're a millennial.
No, because I have kids.
Oh, so you have kids and you've watched Land Before Time number 23.
Yeah, right.
Wow, they made that many of those.
They made so many. Dinosaurs live a long time, apparently.
Dinosaurs make a lot of money. So yeah, the upshot is
You can start classifying these animals.
probably they applied like a monitored statistical analysis on like the bones scans of the bones and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, it's a different enough, 15% different across the board. So we'll call it its own dinosaur now.
It sounds much cooler.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Pluto's a planet again.
No.
That's coming. Dwarf planets are planets too, man. We're going to go from having 9 planets to 8 planets to 35 planets.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
If you count the dwarfs, yeah.
If you count the dwarves, they're
Yeah.
everywhere. Titan is a dwarf planet.
Peter Jackson made The Hobbit too early. Wasted opportunity, marketing synergy.
I don't understand.
There are a lot of dwarves in The Hobbit.
Oh.
Battle of the Five
right.
Armies.
I'm just going to say
oh
one more time and move on. TV tuner is available for Xbox One. Over-the-air TV tuner is now available for Xbox One owners in the U.S. They rolled this out in Europe earlier this year, and presumably you'll be able to buy a USB TV tuner for the Xbone soon, which will then let you use that as your TV watching box if you're a cord cutter, which is kind of interesting because like if you look at the services that are available on that device, you have your HBO Go's, you have your Netflix, your Hulu, all that business. Presumably, if you add over-the-air networks, that's what you need. It doesn't work as a PVR, as I understand it. So you have to be watching live. But there you go. Aluminum battery research out of Stanford. I read this and didn't understand it, but what's the takeaway? Is this something that's real, or is this another 5 years off battery technology we're never going to see?
It seems like it's a big deal. Right now, batteries, alkaline, lithium-ion, things that matter are voltage output and density. And usually you can only, lithiums are great because they can do high density and do good voltage output. Aluminum, which is cheap and in this case a malleable material to make a battery out of, they got it to work by using a different material for the cathode and the anode in the battery. Graphite, I think, is what they used. It gets technical from there, so that's as deep as I'll get. But the upshot is, in their experimental battery, they made a flexible battery, cheap, with several thousand recharge cycles. They can do several thousand without any degradation, as lithiums do.
And it lasts just as long?
And it lasts just as long, high capacity, but low voltage output right now.
How
Only
low?
about 2 volts.
Oh.
So they charge the phone by putting 2 of them together, but they need to find a way to get closer to 5 volts out.
5 volts is what most phones and stuff run on these days,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So it's promising, but it's the very first experimental prototype. So
Is it something they
years
feel
and
like they
years
can
away.
manufacture in quantity?
I think they want to build the principle out before they start even.
When
productizing.
universities come up with these technologies, do they license the technology? Do they sell it?
That is a question that I don't know the answer
Do they
to.
give it away?
I think, Stanford's a private university, probably gets public funds. My guess is that whoever's department, like if a professor got a grant to do research on this,
It would be
then
the grantors.
whoever paid for the grant determines what happens to the technology, whether it's DuPont or 3M or, the National Science Foundation.
Case by case basis, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Somebody, if you know the answer, write in. It's podcast@tested.com, and we'll talk about it next week. Soylent 1.4. Is this even less farty than Soylent 1.3?
The big takeaways: significantly less farty.
Do they have release notes for this?
They do, and this is out already. I have my housemates who are on Soylent. 2 of my housemates are on Soylent as meal alternatives.
No kidding.
Not every day, but as sometimes
I
lunch.
don't have time to get lunch.
Do people treat it like a diet as well?
Yeah, it's like instead of drinking a slim fast shake.
So it regulates your calories.
You just have that instead of lunch and make a batch for a week and put it in a bottle. Also, the previous formula was a big, you scoop this chalky powder plus pour in fish oils and then blend it. Now, no bottle of fish oil. It's all in the powder. And less chalky, theoretically better tasting. I will be trying it.
These incremental upgrades make me think Soylent 2.0 is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
Probably tastes like peanut butter. The Windows 10's first update, this Mary Jo Foley at ZDNet reported this, is going to be called Redstone. So it seems like Microsoft is on an annual release cycle. It'll probably still be Windows 10. They're moving away from Windows 10, 11, 12. So Redstone will be out summer of 2016, and it will be the low. You'll get, since Windows is now a service, you'll get updates to components of Windows throughout the year. So things like Project Spartan and different subcomponents, the Xbox One panel and other subcomponents of Windows will be constantly refreshed. And then there'll be a big kind of, oh, hey, we need to support new types of hardware and we need to give our hardware partners new ways to interact with the software. Will hit on an annual basis in the summer. It seems to be the goal. And then the last thing I have on my list is that Rand Paul's presidential campaign announcement video, the one where he says, hey, guys, I'm running for president. They chucked it up on YouTube, and Content ID pulled it because it had a song that was owned by Warner. And they just said, nope, you can't use this on YouTube programmatically and automatically. So I always think that those are a little bit funny.
I guess maybe better than leaking all the information of your constituents.
Who did that?
Emails. Jeb Bush.
Oh, ouch. Anything else? How are we doing? Anything else news-wise? Should we go talk about what we've been testing?
I think, yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to play some music and then testing talk. Norm, this is a note. Tested Premium members and anybody who's interested in watching us build ergonomic keyboards in the next, let's say, we're giving this announcement way early because sometimes it takes a while to get the parts and they're a little hard to come by. Norm and I are going to be building ErgoDox keyboards, the Teensy-based original kind, not the Infinity version that's on Massdrop right now, although you can more or less the same work. If you want to build your own ErgoDox along with us, you can get all of the parts for around $250. What it is a mechanical ergonomic keyboard, split keyboard. So it's 2 separate parts. They're connected by one little cable. It runs a Teensy, which is a microcontroller, an Arduino compatible microcontroller that you're familiar with. So you can program it to do all sorts of crazy stuff. And you can use like badass mechanical switches like Cherry MXs or whatever kind of switch you want. So I'll post a link on the site before this podcast, or maybe later today, that tells you where to find the stuff that we bought if you want to build along, or if you want to just get the Massdrop, there's a Massdrop right now for the ErgoDox Infinity, more or less the same. It'll probably come, if you order it now, about the same time that we start our build, toward the middle or end of June. And like I said, I built enough stuff for both of us. You ended up going with blue switches. People asked a lot about which switches we were going with. They're a little clicky, not too clicky.
I love me the blue switches.
I initially thought I was going to get browns because they're quiet. Good for typing. I ended up going with reds.
Why?
Because somebody pointed out the reds are like the browns but don't have the click. They're just straight actuation.
I see.
And the thing that the comment said was,
It's better for video games.
well, and if you look at the screen when you're typing, you don't need the click to know that you've pressed the key successfully.
I love the click.
Because it's going to... so the browns have a bump. You can feel the bump when you hit.
Yeah.
And the reds are the same more or less as the browns, just without the bump. So what they said was, if you're looking at the screen when you're typing, you know when you hit because you see the letter pop up. The clears I was going to go for have a higher actuating force than the browns, and that made me a little nervous. I didn't want to get tired.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get big, beefy, bulked up fingers. So
Some people do the combination and just do the reds for WASD.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, that's interesting.
Huh.
Huh. Huh.
Thanks for this preview of your special feature.
Yeah, so like all of our other week of builds, the first day will be free. We're going to go laser cut some cases. I have some thoughts about ways we can make that extra cool, but we'll talk about that on the first episode probably. And
there's currently weeks of builds going on right now.
yeah, we just wrapped up. Was it the
We are in the
animatronics?
We are in the closing days of a Lego with Friends with Veronica Belmont.
Yep.
So please check that out. And last week we did an animatronics build with Frank Ippolito, and so we have a lot of premium builds coming up. So sign up now.
There we go. Tested.com/membership if you want to find out about that. I've been testing out the Zoom Q8. I actually shot a couple podcasts with it. I have a post that I'm in the middle of writing right now that'll probably go up hopefully by the time you hear this. It is a really neat little camera for like what we do for podcasts, and I think maybe also recording concert audio and like shooting concerts guerrilla style from the audience, stuff like that. I talked about it a little bit last week, but basically it's a high-end like action camera style sensor, I would think, with a decent piece of glass, a big 160 degree wide field lens, and a f2.0 aperture on it that basically lets you shoot podcasts, like three dudes sitting at a table recording a podcast really, really easily. The battery lasts 3 hours with 720p, no problem. And it has XLR line in and a decent clock. So unlike the GoPros, which tend to drift over the course of a long podcast, like 20 or 30 minutes even, this thing, it maintains a rock solid clock, so that when I pull the audio file out of our Zoom, I can sync it up immediately. It just lines up right away. You can even replace. And it's pretty nice.
Does it have onboard mic if you need it?
It has their capsule thing that's from the H6. So it comes with a 120 degree stereo.
Is that the crisscross?
That's the crisscross one.
That's good.
It's a good mic. Yeah, you can put shotgun. You can put an Omni. You can put a side mic on it if you want. It doesn't support the H6 Extra 2 XLR input thing I think probably because adding two cables on the little mount that thing's on would probably break it.
Yeah. You can't record all 4 channels at once, can you?
You can.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, and you can record. You can either mix them all into the video stream, so it's just a MOV file with one track, or you can do the MOV file with a mixed audio track, and then also 4 independent
That's what you
wave
want,
files, which is what I want.
Backup. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so it basically gives me an extra way to record the audio. So now using that and the Zoom H6 to mix and record our audio, I have 2 complete audio recordings for everything we do. So far, that camera's been, we've only recorded 2 or 3 episodes.
Cool.
But that camera's been really reliable. And people really like the video quality on it. They were really pro on
Nice.
the Still Untitled that went up this week.
So it's better than the GoPro.
Early on, it seems very much better than the GoPro. Like for what we do, though, like I don't know, like it's kind of a wide camera for webcam use. Like I tried to use it for the bunch of dads that we recorded last week, and it was a little wider than I wanted because it showed a lot of, like, it basically showed my entire room, and I only really want to have like a big giant headshot for a Google Hangout style video podcast. But yeah, like if you're someplace, like I gave it to Adam. Adam's leaving for tour tomorrow. I gave it to him to maybe shoot some video with while he's out noodling around on the East Coast. So like we'll see what he thinks about it after that. Cool. But it's a neat little camera, and it's like $400-$500, which for when you factor in that it can also be a 2-track audio recorder, like a 2-track XLR, provides phantom power to your microphones and the whole deal, audio recorder. It makes it a lot more. It seems expensive until you think about that, I think is probably the right way to say that. But as an H4 costs $250 on its own, so there you go. Norm, you've been testing the Sony A7 II.
Well, I just got it, so I've only taken
Oh, you just got it this
I
morning.
got yesterday
Oh.
night to charge. Yes, that's the one. The A7 is their compact full frame camera, interchangeable lens.
This is full frame?
This is full frame,
What?
That is
Yeah.
a tiny little camera.
and it's actually bigger than the first A7, A7S that was released last year. So A7 II, that's the kit lens, but for a full frame camera, that's small and light.
How much is it?
$1,500, $1,500 to $1,600. I think.
Without a lens?
With you know what? I'm not exactly
all right.
sure whether it's with it. The kit lens is I believe hold on 2870 35 to 5.6. I would get a 35 prime with that immediately, and that's what I'll be bringing to the celebration next week. I'm very excited. I really liked the A7 last year. It was too expensive to be a secondary camera, but Sony does really good stuff.
What is the lens selection still rough?
If you're the type of person that only buys needs 2 or 3 lenses,
You're good.
you're good.
Okay.
Dude, I'm going to look into this.
Yeah,
Um,
full frame
a lot of people ask about.
Yeah.
with an EVF, but
Why can't Canon make a full frame this size? Yeah.
because
Well, they do an SLR.
they have the actual optical viewfinder.
The thing has to move.
They need the pentaprism.
Aren't they making
Mirrors.
mirrorless cameras?
They don't want that to cross over into their high end. Sony's got nothing to lose.
A lot of people asked about my wedding ring after I lost it on, I thought on the shoot with Jamie where we did the where he put the saw in the bottom of the quadcopter. It turned up a couple of weeks later in a bag full of podcast gear at Adam's shop. I have since taken and gotten it sized, and now it does not come off my finger, which makes me a little freaked out because I get claustrophobic.
It's the physical representation.
It's not
manifestation of
that. That's
of
no
your-
problem. I got a kid. It's that I'm afraid it's gonna my finger's gonna swell off. I'm gonna have to have it cut off, just because anxiety.
Is it nice and shiny again?
I think that they just made a new one. I think that they took the one that I had, melted it down, made a new one,
Yeah.
and re-engraved it.
Yeah.
You can check the engraving.
It looks exactly the same. A machine does it. There's no way you can tell.
That's interesting that the compression didn't affect the engraving.
That's what I thought. I expected it to be a little jacked up, but maybe we have some jewelers in the audience that can explain.
It's better than not having it.
I mean, there's still. Oh yeah, I'm not complaining at all. There's still some grime inside the engraving on the inside, so I assume.
Yeah, it's original grime.
Yeah, I mean, I could carbon date that probably if I really wanted to know, but I'm glad to have it back. So.
Someone could get a good deal on a metal detector on Craigslist.
Not yet. If anybody wants a metal detector that's been lightly used, maybe I'll go out and start metal detecting. I can get my can find some lost gold on the beach, get my $250 back.
Did you have a metal detector?
No, I fucking went and bought one.
Where'd you look? In your backyard?
No, I went back to the quarry where I
to
thought
the
we lost
quarry.
it. Guy went down with stakes and the whole thing, ready to
way.
make out a search grid, and then it was in a fucking bag here the entire time. Not that I'm angry. I literally looked in every other bag that we had except for the podcast bag because I'd forgotten I carried it up that morning.
Did you make a big deal showing your wife that you found it?
My wife was much less concerned about it than I was. She was sad, but wasn't pissed or anything.
But when you found
Oh,
it,
it was
how did you tell her?
currency.
I sent her.
She lost her currency.
I sent her a text.
Okay.
I sent her a text with the picture of the ring. She was like, "Where'd you find it?"
Nice.
And then I just didn't answer for 3 hours because we were shooting. So that could have gone better.
Psych, that was a photo from 4 weeks ago, from before I lost it.
Yep, just kidding. Lol. We talked about Fantastical 2 a couple weeks ago, the $40 calendaring app for OS X. After talking smack about it, I figured I should probably download it and test it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't think it's... If you use calendars a lot, I could see it's much better than the default calendar app built into OS X. I do not know that it is $40 good. It is definitely $20 good. Like, I would totally pay $20 without hesitation.
Shouldn't
for
they
this.
be a subscription service like 1Password where you just pay to be a member and then you get all the apps?
But 1Password doesn't work like that on iOS.
It does for me, doesn't it?
Now
You
it's
don't pay recurring, do you?
no.
Yeah.
You bought a family license, a 5-seat license,
Is that what I did?
and then you bought the iOS app separately.
Okay.
I wish that is the way it worked. I would think I would be much happier paying $60 and getting everything and not having to worry about signing up for things. I feel like $40 is a lot of money for a calendar app, and we use calendars a lot. It was much like, had this come out 2-3 years ago, it would have been a completely different story. But the gap between how good Fantastical is versus the current state of the OS X default calendar app has closed dramatically in the last couple of years. And I also have problems with notifications on the desktop app, which is inexcusable on a $40 app. Like sometimes it notifies me, sometimes not so much, which is not good. So I would say don't spend $40 on it. If it gets down to $20 and you use calendars a lot, totally spend $20 on it. Norm, the Lenovo X1 Carbon, 3rd generation.
It's the one I'm using right now.
I tested the first generation of this 2 years ago.
4 years ago.
Was that long ago? Wow. What do you think?
It's a really good X1 Carbon, but I don't know if that's what people want right now.
This one has a touchscreen, though.
Yes.
Did the last one
had a touchscreen as well. It has the things that make it a X1. It's Lenovo's sleeker ThinkBook, or ThinkPad. Sorry, has the nub. The keyboard is better this time around. It's a lot of good give. They make really good laptop keyboards. A lot of good throw. You have the top buttons as in addition to the bottom mouse buttons.
Well, the top buttons are for when you're using the nub, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's probably their best design yet. All the ports that you need built in. It's kind of like it's their MacBook Pro.
This is the anti-MacBook, basically.
Yes. But if I was out for, I'm still doing testing on it. It does have a Broadwell U processor. The Dell is the one that I thought was really interesting, and but I'll be checking this one out first.
Alrighty.
Matte screen.
Oh, I like matte screen. It's a touch screen. That's weird. Does it get fingerprints?
It is a little weird.
It's very fingerprinty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks to me like you've been using this whole podcast. You've been touching it the whole time.
I love touchscreen on laptops.
Why touch it though? You've got the trackpad. I think it's just as fast.
It's not. But for zooming in,
Two finger
think
scrolling.
about, but scrolling isn't what I do on web pages because of tablets. It's zooming in.
Mm-hmm.
But you still scroll.
Yes, I still scroll, but the one-to-one. It's
Yeah.
all about the one-to-one.
What?
It's all about the one-to-one relationship between what you're browsing. You get exactly to the content your eyes want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Does this fold all the way over?
It doesn't.
Like the Yoga?
It just goes flat.
Okay. So it is a laptop, not a tablet. Laptop hybrid.
Yep.
Fingerprint sensor? Does it work? Or is it the old scanny kind?
It's the old scanny kind.
That's sad.
It works as well as ever.
As well as those have ever worked. So not very. I'm still using the 13-inch MacBook Air Retina. It's a really nice little laptop. The mid 2015 update or whatever they called this one, the Force Touch touchpad is awesome. It is a really, really nice way to interact with the computer. Do you think if there was, so theoretically speaking, if there was a Mac that had the good Apple touchpad and a touchscreen, do you think you'd still be using the touchscreen as much as you do on the Windows laptop, or is it just because or do you just go to the touch, the touch on the
absolutely.
laptop?
Yeah, it's not because the
It's not-
trackpad here is not
bad.
good.
Okay.
It's because there's purposes for. I think there's a purpose for the trackpad and a purpose for touchscreen.
And do you always carry a microfiber to wipe fingerprints off with, or no?
No.
Okay. Battery life is pretty incredible coming from a 2012 MacBook Air. I can literally work all day on a battery, which I've done a couple of times just to see if I can. Like walked into the other room, sat down on the couch or a chair, and sat and typed and used the internet and watched videos and the whole thing, everything we do on the laptop. It's capable enough that I can process a 30-minute podcast without a massive amount of hassle, a video podcast without a massive weight like I would have had on the old laptop. It still obviously doesn't compare to my 12, my hexa-core desktop machine, but it's entirely workable in a pinch. Like I wondered if I should have gone to the 15-inch and gotten the quad core. I was a little disappointed you couldn't get a quad core in the 13-inch, but I feel like it's entirely adequate.
I have the first Haswell MacBook Pro, and that battery is as good as it was the day I got it. It
Yeah, I
still
should
holds
compare
up
it.
all day long.
What did you say, Norm?
You guys should compare it.
Sure.
We can do a side-by-side rundown if you want. Just put them up, put the same video loop on them, and let it go.
Is the follow-up to Haswell supposed to improve battery life even more?
This is the follow-up to Haswell.
that is.
This is Broadwell U.
That's Broadwell.
Right? U?
Broadwell U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Remember, there was 2 generations of Haswell. So which one?
yours is the first generation.
It was
as
the
well.
first.
First
Yeah.
Haswell. Okay. So this is technically the 2 years after, which for laptops, that's way too soon to upgrade, I think. But it's some people do every 2 years.
That first Haswell had a huge battery life jump, though.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I was starting to see at 3 years into my MacBook Air, I was starting to see the battery fall off the cliff.
Okay.
I'd gone from I can take a cross country flight and I'll run out of battery about West Tennessee to I can take a cross country flight and I'll run out of battery in east Nebraska or east Oklahoma, not Arkansas.
And also, we're people who, unlike most people, we don't think about replacing the batteries. I think a lot of people get their batteries replaced by Apple, and then their MacBook's
fair, yeah.
almost good as new. I mean, and if you back up all your data, wipe it, get the battery replaced, and get fresh install the OS, you're gonna have a great laptop.
Well, for me, the big thing that changed with the Air is that we went from doing practically no video. I went from never processing video to processing video all the time, and having more storage and a bigger CPU was kind of important. So anyway, that's it for me. Norm Radian mod?
I
What-
did
oh, this is
2
that-
years ago. I borrowed Jeremy's Radian time-lapse Kickstarter, time-lapse motion time-lapse device that you got off Kickstarter.
I have-
Alpine Labs based out of Stanford makes it. And they also make a
What is it?
intervalometer or whatever.
Intervalometer.
Intervalometer.
Are they the Time-lapse Plus people, or are they the other one?
It's not the Genie. It's not the Time-lapse Plus. It seemed like there were a ton of those like 3 years ago.
It was an
on
early
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter favorite, yeah.
The Radian is a time-lapse pan.
So it
device.
has a stepper motor and the intervalometer built in, and then also a really good app that I think is probably the best part of it. Other hardware they all have decent apps now.
Don't you set the app using the audio jack of the phone?
You do, and I thought that was one of those most interesting things. It's
Yeah.
like the Square chip, like just turning audio signals
Into data.
into data, but mostly it's just numbers, right?
That was
Like credit card numbers.
that using the phone jack thing was an early way to get access.
like Square.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it made it cross-platform, which was early on really important.
And no license for a special lightning
Exactly.
port or
Right.
something.
So I thought that was really clever. It worked really well. Still works really well. And then I did some fun stuff with it to get to do a different type of time lapse action.
There's a Living with Photography about it on the site right now, right?
Yes,
You did a
can
cool thing with it, I must say. You should let the Radian guys know about that. You should.
Yeah,
They might retweet.
I could
Get
show
your
you-
retweet.
You could build up to that 50.
Path to 1,000 retweets, Norm. So, Jeremy, anything you've been testing you want to talk about?
I always forget what I've been testing when I get to this segment.
We should make a list.
I should make a list. One thing I tested was the Apollo 11 Oculus app. Have you guys tried
The
that?
VR thing?
Yeah, the VR experience. Highly recommend it.
Really? Do
Yeah.
you get to play as Buzz Aldrin?
You don't play. It's an
Oh.
experience. And with these it was a Kickstarter and they were funded, so they're going to you're going to be able to do the entire Apollo 11 mission, but their demo is compelling to say the least. It's basically a educational app. And I think
Is it edutainment or is it educational?
I think it's educational because
Okay.
I think this is going to really turn some kids on. It turned me on. I mean, you are in the cockpit, and that's after you watch the bulk of Kennedy's speech where he says we're going to the moon.
By the end of this decade, we will land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth.
Right.
Except I did with the Nixon voice, so I apologize. Ghost of Robert Kennedy.
Why
John
do
F.
we
Kennedy.
climb the highest mountain and do the other thing?
Yeah.
Because they are hard, right? Whatever
Yeah.
he said. That's incorrect. But yeah, that's the one.
I got the gist.
And you watch that in a virtual environment on an old TV or on a movie projector, and then you see the Saturn 11?
Saturn
rocket?
V.
Saturn 5 rocket, thank you.
You're the worst nerd I've ever met, Jeremy. I'm so disappointed in you.
Apollo
Hey.
11, Saturn 5.
So maybe I wasn't educated as well as perhaps.
I mean, I'm the product
The kids
of
were.
Tennessee Public Schools. It doesn't get. I was number 48 in the country.
No, I mean by this app.
Oh.
And then you go into the cockpit, and then you take off, and you can look out, and all the some of the instrumentation is actually synchronized to the actual radio transmissions.
That's cool.
And then you
Are you getting like mission control voice in your headset? Okay.
Yeah. And then you take off and you can see outside the little window the clouds and then the horizon of the earth, and you go weightless in this pencil flight.
Can you like move around the cabin at this point?
Not at all.
Okay.
You're always just
strapped,
standing still.
Okay.
But your body goes up and down an elevator to get into the rocket and this kind of thing. And it's just everything's to scale, and it's a really actually pretty emotional experience.
That's awesome.
I would recommend it.
The Apollo stuff, still incredible.
Yes.
50 years, 45 years.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
I'm getting all the audio in. It's a great way to experience that audio in,
Yeah.
in the context of when it was delivered.
Exactly.
One of the first things I remember doing on the internet when I first got when I was in college, you could get SLIP or PPP internet access for like $3 a month, $3 a semester more than just a shell account. So one of the first things I did when I had that was I went to NASA.gov, which at that point was just like one flat page with a whole shitload of links off of it and maybe a banner or a picture or something at the top. And you could download the transcripts of the conversation between Mission Control and all the Apollo missions in their entireties. And it was like fascinating reading to read the stuff that they did over, because they were talking to him constantly, like even during sleep, there were sleep periods and stuff, but they still wouldn't hesitate to wake him up and be like, hey guys, the number 4 thruster is looking a little hot right now. Can you confirm? Blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. I mean, it's incredible that we went to the moon just to get the Transformium from the hidden Transformers art.
If you're
buried by Apollo 11.
If you're that much of a nerd, you really should try this app.
I'm going to go download it as soon as I get home.
You'd get into it.
It's free?
Yeah, I think the
demo
is free.
Yeah.
If you want to get the full experience, you'll have to pay for it when that's available, but it'll be a while, right? Should we take a couple questions and call it a show?
Yep.
Plaything.
Emails?
Oh, there we go.
But we do the other one.
Email.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails.
No. Questions. Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Please keep your questions interesting and not just, hey guys, should I get an Android phone or an iPhone? Our first question comes from Craig, and he says, hey, Will, Norman, Jeremy. I have an old Mac that has been my house's Plex server for the last few years, but I'm hoping to expand its functionality. I recently bought OS X server to do network time machine backups for the Macs in our house without Apple's time capsule, and there are many other features included in OS X server that I'm tempted to try a few of them out. 2 of the features I'm thinking of setting up are VPN and profile/device management. I know Will did a write-up of his FreeNAS server a few weeks ago, but I didn't see mention of these 2 features. Do you guys use VPN on your home networks? And if so, do you find it useful? Have you ever tried device management? I like the idea of being able to access settings on various computers and keep all of our Apple devices updated, but I don't want to feel like a network admin for our house if it requires too much maintenance. What's been your experience with more complicated home server maintenance? So this is really 2 questions. The VPN thing is actually pretty useful. If your router supports VPN, and you can make it the end node for a VPN client, so that, for example, you can set up a free DNS, a dynamic DNS service like free DNS or something like that. So you have a domain that you can point your VPN client to, and there's stuff connected to your network that would be handy to have access to as if you were inside your house, even when you're not inside your house. By all means, set up a VPN. If you're thinking about using stuff like that for things like Plex or for gaming or for like file browsing, it is not a great experience. So, like, it's not going to be fast because your upstream is probably pretty bad. It is relatively easy to set up and doesn't take too long. So, that is an easy one. As for the device management, have either of you tried that stuff at all?
Is that an OS X thing?
It's an OS X server,
Oh.
and it's basically like for small businesses or mid-sized businesses who issue iPhones and want to be able to remote wipe them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can do all or provide apps that aren't on the App Store, like custom apps. You can do that. I would not run that for home users because it's a mess. It's a pain in the ass to maintain. And if you mess something up, people will have to wipe their phones in order to get stuff back. And like if you make your wife wipe her phone with the pictures of your kid on it, it's going to go bad for everyone. So I would say, yes, try VPNs. No, don't do the other thing. And if you want to try VPNs, you're better off doing it with like a DDWRT router rather than the OS X server, probably. On the FreeNAS side, I think you can do VPNs, you can do the dynamic DNS stuff, and you can do time capsule backups if you set up your Apple file shares right. So it basically shows up just like a time capsule on my network at home, and all my Macs back up to it, which is nice. Next question is from Marshall. Marshall says, "Hey guys, I'm considering getting a printer bought metal for the cost as well as the relative quality you get for that price. What, if anything practical, have you used your 3D printers to make? My 5-year-old daughter and I enjoy watching Print the Mystery Object, but the vast majority of things seem to be made on the order of what you might call doll furniture. Just interested if and how you actually use it beyond the videos."
Well put.
I've made a lot of dollhouse furniture.
It's beautiful. Best stuff is dollhouse furniture.
I made a bunch of brackets and things to hold things to other things that have been of varying degrees of usefulness. I made a couple of clamps that turned out not so hot to hook an iPhone onto, or an Android tablet onto like a flight controller for that kind of stuff. I don't know, Jay. What have you printed? Have you printed useful stuff?
I keep waiting for that useful thing.
I printed some picture frames.
Spider Rover.
I mean, I printed a soap dish. I have a
Okay.
toothbrush holder for my children.
Do they like it?
Sure. And it was free. And a lot of toys. Like, the kids like toys. There's this element of practicality there because you don't have to buy toys.
At one point, I printed about 30 Joey Famelli heads.
Keeps them busy looking.
My daughter loves those things.
Keeps the kids busy browsing Thingiverse.
I printed actually.
They browse.
Yeah.
And tell you,
Yep.
can you print that? That's
Yep.
great.
That's awesome.
That's practical.
That's childcare. I mean, you have to pay $20-$30 an hour for that in San
Precisely.
Francisco. I printed a bunch of like relatively simple things like picture frame holders. So there's a one in particular that I really like that's just two arms with a hole for a screw, and then the arms kind of grab a 4x6 or 5x7 printer picture.
Neat. Yeah.
So it looks like a photo that's just floating like an inch and a half off the wall.
Yeah.
When we were in the old office in the basement, the urinal, the thing that held the urinal divider up, broke. Somebody was leaning on it, perhaps after drinking one night, and broke it off the wall and broke the metal because it had swayed back and forth enough that the metal fatigued, and then it just snapped. So I printed, I opened up, what was it? Probably SketchUp, made an object that had the holes in the right place to go back on the wall, and fixed the urinal divider.
That's one of the best maker stories I've ever heard.
I mean, who else has fixed a urinal divider?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we
That's
couldn't.
clearly practical.
I mean, I could have probably gone to the hardware store and bought the piece for a lot less money and a lot less time, but it's all good. What else did we printed that was practical?
Well, you helped me with the game frame. I needed
that's true.
that
That's the actual rapid prototyping.
bore out the holes.
Well, no. Yeah, you needed a reamer.
A reamer.
And we built a custom reamer that was perfectly sized for the holes.
Yep.
Use
here's
it as a rapid prototyper.
I mean, that's the thing is if you need a way to make things that are weird shapes that are hard to manufacture, it's great for that.
Yeah.
If you want something to make small, inconsequential, mostly inanimate toys for your children, also great for that. If you can draw stuff and then can add like, if you can draw stuff in a 2D way, and then like having extruded versions of those things would be useful to you. Really, really good for that. So, for example, if you wanted to make coasters that look like Space Invaders dudes, super easy to do, really cool. People always comment on them. If you have casting or if you know how to cast resin or in plastic, and we've done videos about that, so it's easy to learn. You can use the 3D printer to make blanks to do the initial print rather than having to sculpt or machine or whatever the stuff that you want to make. So, but you're not going to print. Like, you're not going to print action figures with it. You're not going to print a Millennium Falcon that your kids are going to play with. You're going to print a...
Sure you can.
Okay. You're not going to print something they're going to play with for very long, probably.
But it's going to cost you pennies.
And it'll cost... You're right. The thing it costs you is time. So...
A little bit of plastic, a lot of time, a little bit of electricity.
Yeah. The
cool thing is kids can also model things. I mean, as long as we're talking about what kids
Right.
can get out of this, they can hop into the easy stuff like Tinkercad and come hit the print and actually be engaged in the whole process.
Well, and just like Arduino, I think is a really good way to learn how to write basic programs because you have tangible physical feedback on the code that you write. It makes it much easier to understand, I think.
Yeah.
Having the ability to 3D print stuff, especially if you have kids or if you want to just learn how to do 3D modeling, it's a real strong incentive to practice and get better.
Yeah.
And in this case, 3D modeling can mean anything from like using programs like Maya or 3D Studio Max to sculpt amazing things all the way down to straight up like graph paper drawings that you extrude out into the third dimension and then maybe cut holes in the right places. So one more question?
One quick thing on the subject of 3D printers. This Matt tweeted at us earlier today. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Recommended we mention the Tyco Unibody 3D printer, which is currently a Kickstarter over $1 million already.
It's $179.
Which is nuts. Yeah.
Well, it's a Rostock design. Rostock, something like that. So instead of having an XY axis, it has three arms that move, that it pushes and pulls against. The upshot of that is it's much better at doing like cylindrical stuff than, say, our traditional XY axis machined rods printers.
But there have been those types of printers, but this is a low price point.
This is the first one I've seen, that's at anywhere near this price point. For whatever reason, and I don't have any experience with these printers at all, so I don't know what the pros and cons of them are. As Sean Charlesworth, our 3D printing expert, points out, all 3D printers have some things that they're really good at and some things that are going to be a nightmare. My guess is that like making stuff that's square with those is going to be a little bit more challenging because of the way the arms work. So if you want to have rectilinear shapes, it might not be awesome for that. I was immediately skeptical of the release on that platform because they have a flexible print bed for it, which seems super unreliable to me. But I'll Kickstarter. I'll back one for $180. We'll get one in and test it out.
Yeah, it's got a smaller print area than the PrinterBot Simple Metal, which is kind of stood out to me. No, I actually am ready to upgrade because of that.
Oh, really?
The 6 square inches is just a little tight.
6 cubic inches.
Sorry, yeah, 6 cubic inches. So there's that.
I guess it's 36 cubic inches because it's 6 inches.
Isn't it 6 inches cubed?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's 6 times 6 times 6.
Yes.
That's just
36 cubic
180
inches.
million cubic inches. Anyway. Last question is from Bryce. He says, "Hey guys, I just got a micro drone. It's only 1.5 inches wide, maybe 2 inches for my birthday. It's small enough to fly inside, but I'm not the best pilot. What kind of exercises or self-training would you recommend to get better at flying?"
Uh,
Is this a Millhouse answer?
Fly in circles.
Perfectly level figure eights?
Perfectly level figure eights. Yeah. No, honestly, figure eights are difficult.
Yeah. Then when you do a figure eight, do you fly
I
with
can't
the
do
front?
figure eight well.
Okay, so when you're practicing,
Oh,
do you try to fly straight or do you try to do
You
circle
gotta do the
straights?
turns.
I
You gotta
don't-
actually, if you're doing a true figure eight, for
You're turning with the
you
yaw stick, not
actually-
just circle strafing.
yeah, you actually have to yaw and turn, and
Yeah.
not just have it point one direction and kind of
Oh, no, yeah,
position.
no, you can't
lateral
do that.
Is he
movement.
he's flying indoors?
Indoors.
I don't recommend figure eights indoors. I think that's nuts.
What do you do indoors?
So difficult.
Depends on your room.
I think if you get a Phantom, definitely. It's a ton of fun. You feel like you're sliding. I love the figure eights outside.
Outside, yes.
Yeah.
but
Indoors?
indoors,
I don't know, man. Maybe figure eights, but just strafing, right?
Just-
not yaw. Just keep it pointed away from you.
You think?
Yeah.
You think just the lateral movements?
Yeah, stay behind it so that forward is always away from you.
That's how you start, absolutely. But then you gotta learn at some point, and it's better
Yeah.
to learn with the small one
Well,
than the big one.
Then I say you go for a downward spiral.
A downward spiral, How
Not
about
a figure
full
eight.
circle.
Not a figure.
Just a
Sure,
circle.
fine. Yeah. But then bring it down a little bit and come downward spiral.
I'd say do a circle
That's
clockwise and then do a circle counterclockwise.
Okay.
And
yeah.
then once you can do that and make perfect circles, then switch to the
Perfect
figure eight.
circles.
I think that's crazy.
Try to do a circle where the circle itself doesn't need to be perfect, but end the quadcopter where you started it.
One of the other things I do with the Nano that I have at home is I try to fly through doors. Like I have a loop through my kitchen, and basically I can fly from the dining room into the kitchen, into the hallway, into the living room, into the dining room
So
again.
you can't see it at some point.
Well, I follow it.
Okay.
Or I have it fly toward me or whatever. Like the thing that I always have a hard time with is switching when the copter is going away from me, switching from left is left and
Yeah.
right is right to
Totally.
when it's coming toward me, right is left and left is right.
That's the hardest thing. Yeah.
if like I feel like after an hour or so of flying at any given time, I kind of am internalized with that now. Like I don't have to think about it anymore. But the first 10 minutes are always scary. And if you only have one battery, you have like that's half of your flight time.
Yeah.
So get good at that stuff. Get good at flying towards you and steering around stuff. Set up an obstacle course. Like literally get a hula hoop and some dowels and make some stuff to fly under and fly over. The nice thing with those tiny quads is that they're really hard to actually break. You might have to replace props or something, but you can't really do that much damage to them or personal property. So, always fly safe. Don't fly around pets and stuff, or small children, but build an obstacle course for yourself. Fly through tubes. Learn how to fly through tubes. And that'll do it for us this week, I guess.
Can I throw one more thing in?
Yeah, absolutely.
This should have been in the news, but my friend released a demo at this demo party last weekend.
Okay.
In the old school competition, and he won it. It's called 8088 miles per hour.
88 miles per hour?
Yeah.
Is this a Back to the Future thing?
It's a reference, obviously, to Back to the Future, but the 8088 was the first IBM PC microprocessor. Came out in 1981. Dude made a demo, displays 1,000 colors, and it has all kinds of effects.
So he made a demo for the 8088?
Yeah, for the 1981 original IBM PC.
I didn't think that thing could show 1,000 colors.
It can't, but he did it.
Wow.
Along with crazy, music and effects and geometry, all kinds of cool stuff.
And he ran it on that machine?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So is there a way for me to run it on a modern computer?
No, you have to have original hardware. It breaks every emulator. But so if you Google 8088 miles per hour, it's been getting some press.
I saw it pop up in my feed a couple times, and it wasn't all associated with you. So.
Is there a YouTube video that
Yeah.
it shows?
Yeah.
it?
We'll put it on the site. That'll do it for us this week. Jeremy Williams at Jareware.
Yep, on Twitter.
Where else? Anything else?
No,
Okay, that's it for this week.
that's it.
Norman Chan, what are you doing this weekend? Joey and I are going to Seattle. What are you into? Anything? Are you just taking a week off here between cons?
Yes.
Con season is upon us.
Oh, I'll probably be testing the MacBook.
Oh, the little MacBook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to the store on Friday?
Yeah. I mean, they're not doing pre-orders, so.
Yeah.
I guess they're not doing the. I'll go to the store to take photos with this camera I'm testing of people buying watches or pre-ordering watches and trying on watches, and then also to buy the MacBook. Hopefully, they'll have the one I want to test.
Which one are you going to get?
512 gray.
You should stay up. Are you going to stay up late on Friday?
Friday, you mean Thursday night?
Yeah, sorry, Thursday night.
Tomorrow night?
Friday
or
morning.
Tonight, quotes.
'Cause you might be able to set up an appointment for that very same day.
to try it.
Mm-hmm. Just saying.
San Francisco is a very tech-heavy, popular town.
It is, but you're
Yeah, I
diligent.
guess why not? Why not?
Well, I'll be up in a hotel room at midnight in Seattle looking at internet trying to pre-order watches so I don't have to go to
Where's the Apple store in Seattle? Oh, I mean, you're not going to try for a demo either?
Friday's pretty busy.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go see. We're seeing the Starbucks mothership on Friday, so we're going up for two things. There's a coffee convention, then we're getting a couple of demos, and we're going to shoot some video with some other people who do cool stuff up there while we're there, and that'll all be up on the site, not too differing speeds. But that'll do it for us this week. Norman Chan, you're at NChan on Twitter. I'm at Will Smith. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting Tested. If you like the podcast, give us a review on iTunes, like us on YouTube, all the stuff that we say on Still Untitled every week. And new episode of Creature Geek Friday. There was a new episode of A Bunch of Dads last Friday. Hopefully a new episode of A Bunch of Dads next Friday again. We're going to get this Friday podcast thing going. And until then, we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Oh, today's outro is brought to you by, I think, General Desire. It is this one right here.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
Tested.
You know what else I do when I'm laying in bed? Every 3 days.
Tested. It was General Desire. See you guys next week.
Change out those pillowcases.